Labor's got a swing of 4%, so we should be the first media organisation to call the Labor government.
Do you want to just give a preemptive call? Is that
Fuck, he was quick. How long have we been streaming?
Yeah.
We'd have to defer to Ozzyman.
I'm gonna put in an early call if I get it. I'm going with a Labor majority. That's my early call. What do you got?
Well, I reckon, and we should be totally honest and transparent with the clientele. There's only been votes counted for an hour, and Labor has got a 2.1% swing. Greens are about flat, and Coalition is down 3.8% on the small amount of votes counted. And the Indies are up 4.5%. Being Indies, we like that. And because the Indies are up 4.5%, these swings are obviously they can be reversed throughout the night. I mean, look what happened with Donald Trump in the last election.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, elections swing.
Yeah. So your call is what?
Well, let's have a punt on it.
So what's your punt?
Okay. Well, I'm going to say Labor majority at this point because the Indies have moved a bit, but they're not accounting for that much of the vote. So this is purely a punt.
Okay.
It's only just to be able to say if we get it right.
Yeah.
You know, wave the ticket.
Yeah. Give us a punt, Aussie man. What are you vibing?
Well, I mean, Westy's done it. He's not milking it for ad revenue. He's just like, everyone pack it up, hit the showers. So thanks everyone for joining and done. No, I think Fusion Party can make a comeback. And since you read the policies, I'm decided I'm going for them. I'm that easy to win over. I'm a simpleton. So let's see. Let's see, Westy. I think Fusion's going to make a comeback. I'm trying to build some kind of suspense.
What's the vibe
Labor.
in WA? Like, you guys love Labor over there. Like, it is Labor strong heartland. What is the vibe when you're going to vote and walking around and sussing it out?
Yeah, it is Labor heartland to the point where we called the previous Premier State Daddy. That was, we don't care if it sounds creepy. We don't care. He protected us. And it would have been a shame to butcher our natural isolation during a pandemic. So State Daddy was very protective, and we don't care if it's creepy. I don't know, man. I'm a bit of a hermit still, even though I'm out making content and whatnot. You can never pick it, and it's kind of as Michael was saying there. I mean, stuff swings and changes kind of rapidly out of nowhere. So I try not to go like, oh yeah, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. I'm used to being shocked in the last decade, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there's no empirical evidence yet, mate, because WA vote count, because of the time difference, it has not begun.
Oh, there you go. True. We're not close. You got 14 more minutes to vote if you're in WA. So if you're watching this and being like, shit, I should vote, and you're in Perth, what are you doing? Get out there.
That's always the question that they ask. I've been on a few radio interviews recently, like Triple J and Hack and stuff, and they're always asking, who do you think is going to win? And I think it's the most pointless question. Like, who cares? Sportsbet is going to give us indications of what may or may not happen, but getting a random punter's opinion like myself, why the hell would I know who's going to win? You're the guy looking at the numbers.
Well, it doesn't, but as you say, I mean, polls have been wrong so often.
Yeah.
I tend to look at Sportsbet before polls, and the most amazing thing really in this whole election campaign has been that a month ago Dutton was ahead in the polls.
Yeah.
And his odds on Sportsbet were very short. Last time I looked, I can check it right now, the odds have blown out today to $9.50. They're paying $9.50.
So that's for a Liberal. So they are
for Liberals to form government, $9.50, and Labor had narrowed in the past week or so from $1.50 to $1.10, which isn't much of a return, mate. You've got to be Gina Reinhardt to get an earn out of that. So, you know, that just shows there's policy people like you and I that carry on about gas and multinational tax, the scourge of multinational tax avoidance, but in politics, race call land. This is, some people are equating it to, well, we don't know because the first numbers are coming in, but that blowout to a John Hewson style, that was the last time the Libs did so badly in an election, unexpectedly badly.
So are the Libs, from this early count, you looking at these numbers here, are the Libs looking to on track to be going as bad as it has been predicted that they are going to go as badly?
Yeah, so the last poll, the Resolve poll, had Labor romping in with 84 seats. They only need 76 to form government.
Yeah.
And, I think the outlying thing is whether, as you say, they form a majority government or not, because 84 gets a big majority government, but they've still got the Senate.
Yeah, the Senate.
They've still got the
likely.
Senate, which is going to be very messy,
Yeah.
and so we don't know whether they'll be in a position. They're not going to probably have a majority in the Senate, so that doesn't mean they can put anything through they want, which is a good thing.
So, do you reckon you can rule out a call? Like, are we at the point now where we can go, looking at the numbers now, Libs have no shot? Are they there yet?
It's too early now.
Okay, too early.
I mean, look, on the trend, they're down 4.3% swing on their current seats, which is low, minority anyway, and they're swinging downwards from there.
Yeah.
So Resolve poll had them at 45 seats, which puts them in a really parlous situation. You will note though, on early trends, that One Nation is up 1.2%. Trumpet of Patriots, Trumpet's up.
Are they
Trumpet's
up? How
up.
much
Yeah,
are they
they're
up?
up 2% flat.
2% from
And
zero. 'Cause they-
Independents, which is the Teals and so on, and other independents, 4.7%, almost 5%. So that trend, which has gone now on for a couple of decades,
Yeah.
of it looks like a third.
Okay.
Third Coalition, third Labor at this point on the early vote count, and a third Greens and Independents, minor parties.
Okay. All right. So then let's look at, because there's this horse racing where you sit around, like we're watching ABC at the moment, that's rolling. A bunch of political nerds, probably post 50, giving watching the results as they come in. What policies, when we're looking at, when I want to focus more on policy over party, what policies, like Ozzyman, can you name me? Let's have a little pop quiz.
Don't do this to me.
Name me one Liberal Party give me as many Liberal Party policies as you can. Let's just use you as a stand-in.
There's stop the boats. There's let the bushfires rip through it. There's let the virus rip through it. There's stop the boats again. There's let the bushfires and the virus rip through it. There's let the I don't know.
Like this-
whatever Elbow said, match Medicare, 8 billion or whatever.
Because I think what were their policies? They had nuclear. But
Nuclear is the biggest policy.
He pedalled away from that.
I
didn't
don't
he?
believe it was ever a policy. I think it's just an election tactic.
Yeah, but it seems to not work.
No, it's gone into witness protection over the past few weeks.
Do you actually think he'd build them?
I never thought.
Would they get built? Because like my thinking was so simpleton. I'm like, we fucked up the NBN for a decade. There's no way we cannot fuck up nuclear. Like with the flip-flopping and back and forth. And we can't even get fast internet right. So there's no way we get nuclear right.
You've triggered me on a very sore personal note. I live in suburban Newcastle, and I am living proof firsthand. I've got copper to the house. The copper's damaged, so it's going even slower than copper normally would. They have no planned date for when I get fiber, and 5G doesn't hit my property. So I have gone to Lord Musk. I've said, sir, please give me your Starlink. And it's actually very good, but very bloody expensive, like $140 a month plus $700 for the satellite. Like, it's bloody expensive. And I'm not in Alice Springs. So, I mean, that's a fair point. Such a big nuclear plan that would require to be spanned over successive governments, the odds on it coming to completion would be zero. Surely.
Well, I think they just did it because it's clean energy, but it's very expensive.
Is it a Nationals plan?
It sounds muscular. The whole campaign was based on, it was Trumpist. Dutton's campaign was based on the idea, let's make this guy look strong and we'll make Albo look weak. That's why you see all the ads about Albo looking weak and falling off the stage and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And Dutton looking strong. That was their positioning. But of course, when Trump started to go south, the minute he kicked off his bizarre trade war, you know, and when he started and locking people up for free speech and expelling them to concentration camps in El Salvador, suddenly Aussies don't go for that kind of thing. No. The whole Doge thing just fell. And
it really didn't land. And can I just say, Jacinta Price,
make Australia great again.
Like when you're thinking who is our Elon Musk, I just don't see how those two dots were ever connected. Like Dutton would be a better Musk, like I'm going to do the hard cuts, than like Jacinda or so. Anyway, weird move. Like the worst Trump pivot I've ever seen in my entire life.
Well, it's backfired on them spectacularly, and you can see it in the polls because they had tied themselves to that in a branding sense, and that's cost them. But when you think about it, a month ago, Dutton in the lead in the polls, and now the latest polls, massive swing against him, and now we're seeing the numbers being borne out live. The most recent showing quite a bit of damage there, like a 4% swing against the coalition. 4.3% swing against coalition, Labor up 2.7%, despite cost of living crisis, despite they did pick up a bit of a hospital pass on the way in, but they got inflation down, real jobs growth and so on. So they've done little bits. The issue, though, is if they get him in the majority, there's not a lot of vision in the policies to fix the things which young Australians particularly are most concerned about. That's the issue. I think that's why the Indies, it's good to see. The independents are almost 4.7% swing.
Is that good?
That's good, yeah. Big swing.
Because we're always being sold like this is the election for millennials and Gen Z. So I'm just curious on this election. Like, is the trend going to continue with a shrinking primary vote? And are millennials and Gen Z going to actually change the game? Because I just feel like I have so much hope in this moment right now, at just 5 to 8.
Well, you're seeing it now. You're seeing it. Wentworth, they're already calling independent retain, which is Allegra's.
Oh shoot, Allegra's just smoked it.
So she's smoking it, and in my little neck of the woods, my hood. Independent ahead, that's Ali Stegel, 63.3.
Okay.
So,
So once independents get in, it seems like they stay in. McKellar independent ahead.
I think there's a sense with the Indies that they actually do represent their community rather than a party machine.
Yeah.
So I think and generally, I think the younger demographics are probably a bit more savvy, not on the detail, because it's all, but because of social media and independent media, they've tuned out of mainstream media, so they're not getting that ideological framework, So I think they're picking it up. They're knowing that, you've got to stay at home longer because of, successive government policies.
Yeah. What's when you're looking at the policy front, Ozzyman, what was your appeal when you're sussing out the majors? You're an elder millennial. Like, do you feel like current? Because I come from the space. My area I sit in is that everyone's sick of the two majors not making systemic change that actually matters. What kind of neck of the woods do you sit in? A few years older than me.
Shout out to Chris Foley for your comment, by the way. Fucking gold. I mean, housing is big, and healthcare, right? Because even in my 20s, as you said, an old ass millennial, aging as fuck, I'm like, well, housing, I didn't get my house until I was 33, and it was primarily because I fell on some luck with doing okay on the online content creator thing. But I think housing is huge domestically, and healthcare is huge domestically. Those two things alone are massive. And the policies, when you're talking about independence rising and getting more votes, I think it's around those two things as well, because from both major parties, it can feel a bit soft, or with Elbow, it can feel like it's been slow. It's like, well, the cost of living thing has been kicking in since you came in 2022. So have you done enough? That's been a feeling that's out there. So I think that's huge because, our age, Conrad, it's like we only just got into housing in our 30s, nowhere near in our 20s. I rented and share housed throughout my whole 20s. So the idea of buying a house was so far away for me. As I said, I fell into some level of success with what I do and was fortunate enough to be able to buy a house in 2017. But I think around policies domestically, housing and healthcare is huge. And seeing Medicare kind of get shitted the last couple of years, it's been like everywhere you go, specialists or bulk billing public practitioners, you've got gap payments to make up for, and it's just those things where you notice it and you go, wait, when did this change? When did that happen? And it's like that gap payment's gotten bigger and bigger. So now we're trying to claw our way back with those two very specific issues, housing and healthcare. So, yeah, it's a bit tricky. I mean, everything Elbow did, Dutton just copy pasted, right? He was like, we'll match it. We'll do the same. And then again, that strongman thing falls through because it's like, which Westy was talking about, well, you look weak. You're just copying the Prime Minister. So
Yeah, that's
it's
right.
it's kind of like, I think those two things have been huge for people. And beyond that, how the global world stage perceives us is pretty big. And Elbow hasn't had a scandal. He hasn't I interviewed him. And when people kind of say like they're both as bad as each other, I don't really buy into that. I'm like, well, no, one is actually a lot better than the other. And I do think Elbow has presented us well. He's not inflammatory. He's not punching down on minorities. He's not doing any of that bullshit.
He's not,
which is actually pretty big. Like you talk about voting on, you talk about voting on policy, which is correct, and that's good. And everyone needs to look at the nitty gritty, even though it's boring. It's like, look at the nitty gritty. But how someone is representing us is actually huge in this day and age. It's fucking huge. So like to not have a scandal or not look like a dickhead that embarrasses us, I think is if you're
nice.
not if you're not well researched on the nitty gritty of policy, which not everyone is because we've all got lives to live, you might go, hey, he's not made us look like fucking idiots, like ScoMo with the bushfires or like. Yeah. So if you're only coming down to election day on today and going, I got to go out and vote, he's not made us look like an idiot, stick with that. That's pretty big.
I think there's a lot to be said, mate, for that. What you're saying, it's the perception of the guy. And I think there has been a personality issue with Dutton because he does look a bit stern. There's been that whole thing about even last week, the Sunday Telegraph was splashing with the softer side of...
He's not a monster.
He's not a monster, Peter's softer side. But the fact is, the reason that he's there isn't just ambition. It's because there's not a huge talent pool of brain cells going on in the Liberal Party at the moment. I mean... And that's why the Teals, more representative of their communities and generally higher on the IQ front. And as a couple of points you touched on there, mate, was housing, which I think is an absolutely huge one. They've all said a lot about housing, even though they represent the 9 richest electorates in Australia. So as an independent, you can say things about housing. You don't have to stick to the itsy-bitsy policies of your party machine. And so they've been free to represent their constituents better in a more fair dinkum way. And it comes down to fair dinkumness, I think, with Albo's personality. I mean, I think you're right. A sense of humour comes through on him. He's a bit steady Eddie, fumbling slightly, I think, for a lot of people. But and there's a lot of hate out there online about him. But I think generally he has represented the country
manufactured.
Well.
Yeah, it's pretty... The hate is pretty manufactured these days in terms of like this idea of the left being this massive boogeyman, which it somewhat isn't. I mean, you look at comment sections and it's leftard, libtard. The left does this, the leftard does that. It's and I think it's come from America a lot. This kind of, we've always had wedge politics in Australia, and Johnny Howard was pretty big at that. But it's kind of like, all right, you kind of make it out this left as something that's trying to shut you down or is really radical when I don't think it is a lot of the time. So trying to like pin Elbow down as being a radical leftist. It's like, I don't think you can pin him down on that because he's pretty neutral a lot of the times and is very considered and thoughtful in what he says. So
almost milk toast bland. Like, and this is where I think I like looking at the attack lines that, the Liberals use, because I feel like there's something in there that they can work with. And I thought there was something in the Dutton attack of Albo is weak, because I think that kind of lands but just not for those reasons. He's like, oh, Albo's weak because national security. And we're like, no. We don't want some strong man firing off his mouth. We want like good diplomacy. But I think like the sliver of truth that they obviously don't hammer is that Albo has seemed to me to back away from he has been afraid of Dutton, which from my reckoning from the very beginning has been the weakest opposition he's ever had to face. And he's been so afraid to go gambling reform, which he wrote himself, like it's completely uncontroversial. You're not going to lose any votes for banning gambling advertisers. Like it's not like you're afraid of the electorate.
Going to lose money.
Yeah, that's right. They're going to, well, Rupert Murdoch's going to lose money and the TV networks are going to lose money and all the established status quo that he's kind of, what I see in the argument of him being weak is him pandering to all these corporate interests to kind of keep them on side. And so he looks like, oh, yes, we won't touch that. We won't touch that. Oh, we will do a little bit of housing. We'll do a little bit of this. And it seems to me like he's still afraid of the Rupert Murdoch boogeyman, who I guess once was powerful and still potentially is powerful. But I don't know. I think there's good weight to the he's weak line, except that Peter Dutton can't use it because if we're talking about pandering to corporations, mate, I'm pretty sure they just wrote his entire policy playbook.
Well, they've got 80 million or something, haven't they?
Yeah.
They can, unlike the Teals or the Independents, they can shift that money around to where they need to spend it in the marginal seats. And this is why, in my view, the Greens aren't doing as well as they should be on policy grounds, because they've been smeared by all the astroturfing mobs representing, powerful vested interests.
Yeah.
Pretending to be punters, pretending to be mum and dad's grassroots organisations. But so they've been smashed from a reputational, and as you were saying before the show, like they've got a brand problem.
Yeah.
But it's no wonder they've got a brand problem because they've got Murdoch is the biggest media.
Yeah. Well, you did a story on this, didn't you?
Yeah, they get squeezed by the Nine, which is the second biggest in the media duopoly. And
so is that what Albo's afraid
Liberal
of?
and Labor hate them because they're off the policy thing. Liberal policies are closer to Labor than Labor policies are closer to the Liberals than to the Greens on most things.
Yes. Well, this is what's always shocking for me because I think like this kind of nuance of no, I don't think they're both the same at all. But when it comes to some policies that I've seen Albo pass, I could imagine a Malcolm Turnbull grade Liberal government passing them. Like when I look at the NDIS, it's this half privatized sort of system where, the government's the piggy bank and there's all these like individual contractors. That seems to be like a half semi-privatized, like
it's
half
a disaster. It's just a gravy train.
Well, and why do we wonder that it's now outspending Medicare, which is, and so this is kind of what I mean by like, there's the argument that they are both the same in some respects, but obviously not Peter Dutton because the Greens are holding half of Bill Shorten's policies, wouldn't you say? Like the negative gearing stuff that was
capital gains
tax, that was Bill Shorten. Anything else?
Well, they're much bigger on public housing spend.
Who
rent caps, I don't agree with rent caps, but they have actual, they're multinational tax avoidance policy, taxing fossil fuel exporters, which is the guys we're talking about the whole time, who don't pay any tax or royalties.
Yeah.
I mean, somehow Australia's future's got to be paid for.
Yeah.
And the biggest, most wealthiest institutions in the world are paying pro rata, dollar for dollar, the least tax.
Yeah.
I mean, that has to change at some point.
I haven't heard, have you heard any party anywhere, Aussie man, have you heard anyone saying that we're going to tax corporations? Like, is that cut through on your side of the fence?
Sorry, I was on my phone.
There's some very big, powerful exporting corporations.
Corporatocracy.
Oh, I can't hear him. He's on his phone. His networks. He's on his Instagram. Okay, you chill there.
Was like,
and
I put in my Instagram stories. All right, I'm doing my best.
Because your phone is the audio for us.
Ah, Josh, I fucked up. How's that? Is that
But
back?
I bet everyone on the feed can hear him.
Can they? Is that back?
Oh, we're back. We're back.
Yeah, I fucked up. I posted to my Instagram stories. I was being an influencer.
Appreciate the influence. I was wondering if any, like Westy just brought up the fact that multinationals are like just robbing Australia blind with not paying tax and kind of siphoning money out. And obviously the Greens running on this, like 1 in 3 big corporations aren't paying any tax. They got policy on it or papers on it or whatever. Has any of that narrative, that corporate tax budget narrative, filtered over to you over there in WA?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, it's a huge mining industry over here, and I'm pulling this stat out of my ass, but 1 in 5 people work FIFO. I don't know. It's like, it's such a huge thing. And people whinge about it. We do all the work, but we're getting charged the most, or we don't get the most money back or invested back into us. That gets talked about quite a lot. They'll live like kings over in New South Wales and Victoria. Well, we're doing the bulk of the fucking 12-hour shifts and whatnot, and 14-hour shifts. So yeah, and one thing I regret with my interview with Elbow is that I never dropped the word corporatocracy. It's such a juicy word. It's such a juicy word. And I'm like, it's got weight and it's got merit in terms of lobbying and where kind of, where society, the direction society goes in or gets dictated in. It's like business and money talks and corporations kind of have a big influence. So yeah, corporatocracy is fucked.
And I think on that front that we just brought up there, that front right there, corporatocracy, that is what Punters politics essentially exists around. If you want one thing that I will hammer until the day it is solved, that one thing is taxing bloody corporations, bludgers shipping their money offshore, mining corporations, giving it away. And on that front, Albo and Dutton are the same. I had Chris Bowen on the podcast and he gave me a talking point. Obviously, I hit him on gas. He's the energy minister. Yeah. And he's talking gas and I go, mate, Qatar 78 billion, Australia 2 billion. What's going on here? And his talking point is, well, we adjusted the PRRT and we collected $2 billion. And it might not sound much. I'm like, no, mate, it's bugger all. Much. It's nothing while these companies are ripping us. And I'm sick to bloody death of hearing people in the know, like people in the Liberal Party or people like part of the establishment go, oh, but we got long contracts on them or it's been sold. The deal's been done. Sovereign risk. Mate, laws change for me every bloody week. Tax, I just now found out I got an instant tax write-off, asset write-off that they've just decided to put through a few weeks before the election. That's changed. Things always change for us. But bloody hell, they never. As soon as we're talking about changing these tax systems, and that's where I come down so hard on Labor, and the Labor Rusties hate me for it. Because Albo is never, I mean, prove me wrong, I bloody love it. Albo is never going to go after those mining companies after what happened to Regular Rudd. I hope I'm wrong. Prove me wrong.
No, I agree with you. Well, it's my central point too. That's how I cut my teeth on multinational tax avoidance, looking at, I mean, it's breathtaking how much these companies earn and how little tax they pay, often no tax at all, corporate income tax. And for those who aren't onto it, royalties aren't a tax. They're the amount that you pay. The minerals belong to us, the Commonwealth, the state. They're the amount you pay as a miner to the state to drill our gas or oil or gold or whatever it is out of the ground or the seabed. So it's like the mining lobby argument is like, if you're a bakery, you should be getting your dough for free to make your bread. You should have no costs. Yeah. That should just go to you for free. I'm not going to pay a royalty on the dough, on the bread. That's the reality. Every business pays for its inputs, whatever they are. Some have much higher costs than others, but the fact is they're getting that stuff often for free, which belongs to us because they can't fix the tax and the royalty regimes.
Which is surely theft.
No, well, it's not theft because it's all been red stamped and signed off by Mallisons, Freehills, PwC and Deloitte, or whoever their big four people are. They give their imprimatur to it. So yeah, we
from my book,
we've audited these accounts and we find them to be true and fair.
Is mafia the best explanation for this? Because the mafia operate in Italy, I hear in the south.
Well, it's a protection operation because they all pay their dues. They're all members, literally, of the major parties, and they pay their 100 grand a year or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Which brings us back to the point about the politics when you talk about Albo or Dutton. I mean, who is the real power person?
Yeah.
Surely it's the party treasurer, the bag man, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's bag man. I don't think there are any bag women at the moment, at least. But they're the ones that go, hey, hang on, you can't be going and doing something nasty to Woodside because they give us $125,000 a year and they're really great. You know, they do this school program for us.
Yeah, we sponsor a few football teams.
Yeah, the city to surf.
Yeah.
You know, like
So Keith in the comments here is like, so question, why are they getting it for free? And the best that I've discovered through your journalism is it looks as if why they get it for free is because the resource ministers write the rules. They go directly to work for these gas cartels. So Martin Ferguson is now the head of the Australian gas lobby, and he was the bloke that oversaw the PRRT when he was a Labor minister.
Yep.
So for me, the like Westy can give like the details on exactly kind of how the PRRT doesn't work. It doesn't collect revenue. It hasn't collected revenue yet, how it was set up. But from where I sit, the reason why they get it for free is because of what you've said. There's this protection sort of money, pay your dues, which is not much, by the way, at all. But the more weird thing is that revolving door. So you've got ministers going to work for the gas lobby. Nicole Madison, the deputy chief minister of the Northern Territory, has now just gone to work for Tamboran, and Tamboran operates out of the Northern Territory, and they made the rules.
Controlled by a US billionaire. Yeah.
You can't make this stuff up.
Yeah. Tamboran's literally offices are one block from where I live, and often I'll go past, and because they've threatened me with lawsuits twice.
Really? What for?
Defamation for saying
you don't pay tax obligers.
For saying that, I forget what the invitations were, because we get a few of these things. But no, I often press on the doorbell and wave to them on the way past. So I'm going, now they're on the edge of the Corso there in front of the, the Promenade of Manly. Yeah. Their offices are upstairs, lovely place. But they're Americans, literally pillaging our natural resources, polluting cooking the planet. We don't need to drill the Beetaloo for the Australian gas supply.
No,
it's an entire new province which they are at the vanguard of exploiting.
Yeah.
The farmers up there don't want it. But the fact is, there's so much money in it.
Yeah.
And then the lobbyists come, Ian McFarlane was the one from...
He's the other one.
For years. Yeah, went to Queensland Minerals Council, ran that for years. Went straight from the resources minister portfolio to being...
Yeah.
And before you jump on to the next subject, guys, I don't know if you can see on your screen over there, but we do have super chats turned on, which is a feature that I haven't used before. But people are paying us money to do this live stream tonight.
Wow. Yeah, I bloody saw that. You got $50. You got bloody. Do you want me to do the shout outs? I can do the shout outs. That'll be fun.
Oh yeah, you can do the shout outs.
You had one where we were doing fucking tech rehearsal. 4:49 p.m. sour vodka, $5. Love you. And J Day. And JD, $5. Great show, guys. That was at 5:04. Josh, you leaked it. You let some people in before we'd started. I didn't say anything scandalous. So
are they for the Patreon? Did I put a link in?
Must have been the Patreon.
Oh,
that's bloody Patreons. Bloody Radzi, that's the Patreons, mate. You got Anjade saying, great show, guys. Shout out to Anjade. The Sinister Siblings, $5. This election may as well be referred to as Battle of the You see, I don't get the resurgence of that word. I have neurodiverse family members. I'm lenient.
You're resistant.
I'm a bleeding heart. I'm like, what is the resurgence of the FAGGOTS and retards word?
Yes.
But they paid you, so you have to kiss their ass.
I have to do it. Like if you give me money, we dance. That's the game, right?
We're actually at work. We're not just sitting here having a yarn.
No, kiss the ring, influencer. Kiss the ring. Kiss the emblem on their shoes.
That's bloody brilliant. Thanks to anyone, because at the moment we've just got Josh donating a bunch of gear, time, and everything. I splurged for this very nice hotel. It's quite nice, isn't it? It's in Chatswood. It's like a whole little unit thing.
Easiest hotel I've ever been put up in.
Yeah. And so I mean, anything. So far we might even break even, Josh. Maybe we might even be able to pay you some money.
Stop it. Don't talk to me dirty, mate. Don't talk to me dirty. Paid in journalism. What?
Yeah, we normally don't pay journalists. I'll take the money. You're right. Thanks. But yeah.
Shout out to our super fans.
Thanks, Punts. Forget the ABC. Punters Politics, Michael West offer the best live coverage. Well,
there you go.
It's
That's
first time.
You got a $50 above that. You got Oy vey. There is no difference between Labor and Libs. You will get the same neoliberalism and Zionist foreign policy, whoever you vote for. This will be the last good times election. The economic miracle will end with massive personal housing debt. Woo! They dropped $50 on you plus a statement.
You know what? I get that. I kind of get that because I think that's what people mean. I think that's what people mean when they say they're both the same, because obviously they're not both the same, But when you're talking about the systems and structures, is Labor going to fundamentally change the neoliberal way in which these systems is run, like the semi-privatization of everything, the outsourcing of certain things? He's
There's no sign of it. I mean, even at the last election in 22, they came in and they said, we're going to fix the whistleblower laws.
Yeah.
Now, we got one in jail, McBride.
Yeah,
we got
true.
Richard Boyle, who's facing jail for doing the right thing. My contact, Tony Watson, the Lend-Lease whistleblower, saved the country $300 million. He lost his home.
And
Appealed to the High Court,
didn't
wasn't
help
even
out.
granted leave to appeal to the High Court. So they're not looking after whistleblowers. So the institutions of government and of private institutions are getting bigger. And there we go. And they're getting more powerful. And so are we thinking that if Albo gets in with a majority, even though it's a good result for the Rusteds and for the management of the country, I don't think there's any doubt about that, just for the basic management, without any vision of policy or systemic change. But the question is, does Australia need systemic change? I mean, the world's changing super quickly. AI, how many jobs is that going to wipe out? We've got to have some big talks about big things. And if you've got a bunch of corporations and law firms and lobbyists and Big Four and so on that control the whole narrative, and the government and media duopoly controlling all the people that, luckily, that's fragmenting the media. What hope of change is there? They didn't do gambling. That's
the thing that breaks my brain. They wrote the legislation.
Well, the woman that wrote the paper, Peter Murphy, died.
Yeah.
And they said, we're going to honour her by bringing in these laws, and they didn't do it. And it's such basic stuff. Like, don't advertise so kids can see.
Don't advertise on TV.
When my daughter was 10, she was singing the sports bet or whatever it was, Jangle, like this is directly targeted at.
I used to be a teacher. I'd be at school during State of Origin, and the kids would come up to me and be like, oh, sir, I just put $20 on the Blues. Like, these are like 14-year-old boys. And I'm like.
So they have one win at 14.
Yeah, done. It's over.
If you got that gambling gene, it's all over. You're betting for life.
It's over. Iron XXVI has given us $10 for the vibrating bed, Westy. So you're welcome.
How thoughtful.
He knew it was coin operated. We'll get at least 5 goes out of that. So I think that's the nuance that I'm trying. Like, I understand the point that, quote unquote, they're both the same. I get it. But then everything you've just brought up, there are some things that are never going to change under either. So we either be satisfied with a slight improvement and not as bad as someone else, or every time we critique the fact that these major things that we think are really important, whistleblower protections, taxing corporations, banning gambling advertisement. If Albo gets a majority, I have zero faith that he is going to do anything about that. Like, none whatsoever, because I've just watched 3 years of him not do it. When he could pass the legislation now, he had a majority now. What does he need a new majority for?
Well, but the money in politics is what has got them there. That's the point. That entrenches the power and the media control. So the media companies were the big beneficiaries from the sports advertising, gambling advertising. They're the ones that make all the money out of it,
Here's a question. How much do you think the media companies are control the government in that sense of, we know they've always had to bend in the knee in Murdoch, that whole story of K. Rudd going over to the US to meet with Murdoch, to bend the knee, so to speak. But then they
all do it. Albo and Tanya were at the last Christmas party at Lachlan's place in Bellevue Hill,
okay, there you go.
They all do it, but the way that it works isn't as simple as just the straight sort of, it's not really conspiracy theory, but the way that it works is they get the leaks from Canberra. There's a group of 10 journos who are, for the major media organisations, ABC and maybe Guardian and 7 News and 10 or whatever. They publish their stories in the middle of the night or 5 in the morning or 3 in the morning, and then morning radio and TV producers come in, and it's the way the agenda is set for the 24-hour news cycle. By the time you or I get out of bed, have a look at it and work out what the real story is, we start criticising it. That
it's already gone.
That diminishes the trust in the mainstream, because people are going, hang on, that's not a good policy or whatever.
Yeah.
And so there's been a falling trust in all institutions because of that, but they're still controlling the 24-hour news cycle. Now, this election, and I'm so disappointed, mate, you didn't get a bait because you're an Instagram influencer.
I didn't get.
You should go. They should have asked you what the hell were they doing, because all these other ones I've never heard of. You're the only one
Oh, well,
that I know.
thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
They've
Yeah.
been invited down to budget. We couldn't get
Yeah, I
in the
didn't
budget
get in
because
the budget.
we put the form in late, so we couldn't get in.
You just need to show a bit more skin on Insta.
Well, mate, it's health tips all the way from me, mate. I tell you. But yeah, so we didn't, you know. But
we didn't. Okay, so
they recognise they've got to do something about it, so they got to go and get some Instagram influencers in to reach the younger generations. But it's all lost.
So is there? So like, I'm kind of okay. I'm kind of impressed that that the major parties, mainly Labor and the Independents, like independents have no choice. They must go to alt media because that's where they get an airing. They'll talk to me any day of the week.
Yeah.
You know, Labor are okay at it too. Like I got Chris Bowen on the pod. That was great. Couldn't get Albo, but that's, you know, to be expected. But obviously there still seems to be the power that this corporate machine controls politics, like this symbiotic relationship where, you know, you're just watching the press tour, right? They all hop on a bus, drive around, fill up with petrol, kick a football. Like it's this weird news grab, and it's all to get news grabs for the nightly news. But no one's watching the nightly news about like sub age 50. So it's catering to a certain thing. But how much of it is for viewers and how much of it is to placate the media establishment? Because the news media bargaining laws, as far as I understand them, is essentially allowing big tech to not pay tax to us and give those tax dollars directly to Rupert, right? And they're not being changed out of all these websites.
They're still very powerful, but it is diminishing. It is diminishing because of the rise of social independent media. So it's happening, and in another 3 years, there'll be more younger people coming through that are more cynical about the establishment media and politics. So the demographics are changing it slowly, but the question is, will Australia become a more unfair country with more systemic problems about housing affordability and so on between now and the time that they actually get to do something about it? And it looks from these election results, if we get back to them, that it's all new entrant.
We've got a new entrant. Welcome to the live stream, Josh Sheps.
Fresh from a wedding.
You're looking sharp.
Mate,
you didn't get the t-shirt memo.
Honestly, this is not just fancy for you. This is fancy for a wedding, and I've actually come. I actually had to leave before the main course just to come.
So you're
here.
hungry. I should have got you some Guzman.
Oh, mate, this was better than Guzman as well. This was fancy. This was good stuff. It was like and I was waiting. It was one of those situations where you go, do I call it now?
Yeah, and sunk cost bias.
Because I was, exactly. So look at you, your sunk cost fallacy. He's got his economics degree, pulled the credit already. Yeah, so I'm there and I'm like, you know, I know I'm not going to make it the whole night, but maybe just in time for the beef fillet.
We appreciate it. Hopefully, ranting about some politicians and the politics will satiate your hunger.
That usually does it. I usually feast on nothing but the tears of my enemies and a bit of political gossip. How are things going anyway? What are we?
Well, Wesley's about to give us an update. And then we got some super chats coming from Ozzyman.
Right,
we should be paying a bit more attention.
Yeah, I'm kind of carving out a niche. I'm carving out a niche. Yeah. I'm becoming your comment section guy. I just logged in with my 2007 account, Eat the Great 2022, 22, because I was 22 years old. Fuck yeah, that works. 2006, 2007. So I'm on the comment section, mate. I've got your back, punters. You just let me. Yeah, all's good.
There should be a rant button. Because obviously you're not in the room. You just hit a rant button and it'll go red, and then we'll just cross to you for a good Aussie man rant.
That's not bad. I'm carving out a couple of niches in this chat. It's coming for a rant about corporatocracy and manager comments section. That's where I'm at. Which, and I can do your shout outs when people pay you. I feel like I want to be helpful. I want to be of service, punters. So yeah, you got a couple here. You got 10, mate. You got $10. You got $5. You're making
break even on this thing. This is good.
You made it, dude. With the money you're making more than fucking Welcome to Countries, dude. You're like fucking. That's $120. That's satire. That's I don't think.
Cancel him.
I don't think.
Cancel him.
I don't think there's a lot of money in that. And if you've seen my latest video, I hate that Indigenous people are thrown under the bus in the last week of this election. But you're rolling in it. You can get 2 or 3 stake sangers, one for Michael, one for New Guy, and if you send the money to Perth, I'll get one. But now you're doing good in the comments. You can just I'll do special comments.
Well, the race is on in WA, mate. We've got one seat where the counting has begun, thanks to the time change, and that's Canning, where the Libs are ahead by 0.1%. And that's the only one they've begun counting. But just nationally now, we've got Labor swing towards Labor at 2.8% nationally, away from Libs by 4.3%. So the polls and the sports bet odds were right. And Trumpeter Patriots up 1 point. Clivey boy, little Clive.
Michael,
they're down to 1.
No. I got a serious question for the investigative journalist. You've mentioned Sportsbet 3 or 4 times. What's going on with that?
Also, I'm sorry to shatter your bubble here, Westy, but the 0.1% was the amount of votes that have been counted in the West Australian seat, not the swing to the Liberals. So the zero,
yeah, right.
So you're basing your excellent
point.
information on the 1/10 of 1% of votes
1%
in one electorate that has been counted so far
Listen,
in West Australia.
This is what the ABC does all night. We need to keep people on the edge of their seat.
Yeah.
You're right.
He's working for Sportsbet. You've been infiltrated.
Yeah.
We've got to manufacture some controversy wherever we can and make it a tight race. I have loved watching the attempts to make it a tight race over the past few weeks.
So, okay, you've just stepped in.
Yeah.
Josh, how are you feeling? What are your... This is the dumbest question that I'm asking in the dumbest possible way.
Please go for it.
What's your predictions of the night? But go where you want.
I usually have a pretty good track record of predictions, if I do say so myself. My prediction is that Labor will retain power. I don't think there's anything controversial.
Majority, you think?
I reckon they'll get a majority. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think my mood is delightedly bored. Like, I think this has been one of the most uninteresting election campaigns of my lifetime.
P-Duts didn't mix it up
P-Duts wasn't going... when you look at what's going on in the rest of the world and you look at the Trump administration...
we can't
and you
compete
look
with
at
that.
the far right in Europe and you look at Brexit and you look at, like, the recent Canadian election and what's happening in Canada, like, we are so lucky to have a couple of boring, beige, middle-aged, straight white blokes who don't believe in anything, just going, you know what, you can either vote for me or not, maybe nuclear or something, and then they're like, or maybe not, and then like, okay.
But that breaks my heart. It breaks my heart that I feel like in the lead up to this election, my little flag I've been waving is like,
The Trump and the Patriots flag.
obviously.
We all know you.
The yellow bill.
What side of the bread you're buttered on?
Yes, Clive's bread. Big slices of bread. Like the flag I'm raising up the hill, we don't have to vote for either of them. Look at preferential voting. Look at all its glory. And I feel like at the moment now, I feel like I have a little bit of hope because I'm like, look, Aussies, millennials, Gen Z, the system is fucked. We're cooked. Like housing, this article here, I don't know, you guys can give me better analysis on it. Patrick Cummins, economics editor, says if we follow the current housing plans of the both major parties, housing, it will be 70 years before they return to 6 times salary income instead of 9 to 13 times.
I didn't even know that it ever would.
It used to be 3 times.
I didn't know that it ever would. Why would it even go backwards? It just seems like
if wage growth continues, right? Because both parties have said we want it to continue, but we want it to moderate a little bit, and then wage growth. That's
because they've got these ridiculous predictions about how fantastic wage growth will be if only you elect them to power, which is mostly nonsense anyway.
So it breaks I'll cry like Sky News at the end of this. Like they'll be crying because Liberals are losing.
This is just your. This is what you cry yourself to sleep.
This will be special because we don't have to vote for them.
Yeah.
We can send a strong message, and the only message politicians understand is losing power. That's kind of been a lot of the hobby horse I've been flogging a lot, and the hobby horse is dead on the ground. And so I don't know. I'm really hoping. I have hope for like an independent swing or like a third party swing. Even honestly, well, maybe not Trump as a Patriots, but even One Nation and these kind of
really,
I don't know, these just to show that people can opt out. Do you know what I mean? That
but I mean, you want things to get a little bit interesting, but you don't want things to get too interesting. Like liberal democracy is also good, you know. Like, definitely send them a message. Tell them that there's we want them to do more for the little man, and then at the same time, don't burn the whole place down.
Yeah. Because we don't have to burn it down.
No.
To make those changes.
No, hopefully not. I mean, housing is a good one because, like, I remember, I'm old enough that I remember when $1 million for a house was an amazing amount of money.
I'm old enough to remember if I could earn 100 grand in a salary a year, I would be stoked.
Yeah, that's right.
Like,
that's right.
That would be amazing. Whereas I just saw someone do something in WA, Ozzyman's territory, a TikToker, a little finance TikToker. He was essentially did the maths on a $600,000 house. I'm like, oh shoot, $600,000 house still exists in Perth. It does.
There's one of them.
And he did the maths with the 5% deposit, no LMI from like the new government incentives. The salary someone would need, obviously, if you're single, not married, but the salary someone would need is $106,000.
Right.
Median's what, 70?
Yeah.
Cool.
I know.
Mate, I'm old enough to remember when $10 was a big night out. You get 10 schooners and a packet of smokes for that. Now you wouldn't get it for under $300.
Well, you wouldn't even get one
and a
house
house
packet of smokes.
No, you wouldn't. And a house was 130K. So, but inflation is a thing, obviously, but also as a percentage of disposable income, it is really shy.
But also, for
affordability
house inflation is like, I mean, the fact
actual
that
property
having
inflation.
a place, having a place to put, sleep in, and not sleep on the street. The fact that inflation is so much higher than the normal background inflation. Like, if you did, I just keep thinking it's got to stop at some point naturally, and it never ever does. It's like every 5 years we're like, it can't keep going up. How can the median price of a house in the inner west in Sydney be like $1.7 million or something? That's just not possible. But it'll be 2.5, then it'll be 4, then it'll be 10.
But the government just keeps finding new pots of money to hand to, because the property investor tax handouts, they're golden. Like, no one's flinching towards those.
Like negative gearing.
Yeah, negative gearing, capital. Like this. All right, sorry, I got another rant.
Well,
rant coming up. Rant alert.
Both parties, and to get to Ozzyman's point.
No, before you rant, you've got money. Let's cross back to the money room. Conrad, $5 super sticker from Potato. Shout out to Potato. Sad man Shafiq, $7.99. Didn't want to go the full 8. Shout out to you.
Fair enough.
No, fucking shout out to you, sad man. The Crunch Inator, $20 AUD, I think, maybe USD, in which case you're loaded. Best election coverage in central Queensland. You're hitting central Queensland.
There we go.
The broomstick on the ground called Sky News.
Pipe down. My favourite channels all in the same time. Great work, punts. Alex ZD, $2. That's good. Shout out. No, fucking clap that. Whatever anyone can do. Go the Maroons, up the Blues. It's a bloody cost of living crisis. Yeah, $2 is good. Pseudo intellectual. Won't someone please think of Peggy Sue? $5. Chris Mousley. Labor do pick up influencers. Yeah, that's me. Albo announced critical minerals strategy after I posted recommendations on tariffs. Chris, you're changing the direction of the country. He also said verbatim that the media bargaining code was not for discussion. Shout out to Chris. The Integrator 88 the underscore Integrator 88, $14.99. Didn't want to go the full 15. Still very valuable. Very valuable for the punters. That'll buy you one mid-strength pint. Fuck yes. Thanks, everyone.
Well, I like the fact that, when you end a price in 99 cents, it's supposed to be the person who's doing the selling is supposed to do that to try to hoodwink the consumer into thinking that the thing is cheaper. But these people are hoodwinking themselves because they're the ones who are paying the money. But
it feels like less. It feels
like they're just like, it's not actually $15 if I make it $14.99.
Well, it's a win for both of us, isn't it?
It's a win for everybody.
Because now digital currency, there's no round up. So I get the 99. So they are being very specific with, he's not worth 1 cent more.
Right.
$7.99, 8 is too much.
It's precise.
And I'm cool. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
He'll get an ego. He'll get a big head if we go to 8.
To be honest, this does blow my mind a little bit. People just like, hey, here's some money. So I'm very appreciative. Like,
I know.
The punters are the punts that are keeping this thing.
Why don't my subscribers just send me random money for nothing? I gotta whip them into line.
You're an intellectual gigolo, eh?
Yeah, I'd say so.
So maybe more gigoloing in the
More
intellect.
gigoloing and less
And then-
intellecting.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I could do an OnlyFans. Are we going to end up masturbating each other on this live stream? Is
Well,
that
we
what
are in a
happened?
hotel room.
That's right.
And we've got
You got to
the After
pay
Dark
extra for
segment,
that.
we got $10 for the vibrating bed from a punter. so yeah.
So what are Sky News up to then? Are they crying yet or not?
Don't give them the attention. Stop it.
That'd be great. We should have a little box in the side of the screen with just a live stream of Paul Murray's face as it slowly deteriorates over the course of the night.
Yeah. Well, okay. The thing I love about
Don't worry about it.
the thing. Okay. So I'll be probably disappointed at the outcome of this election because I'm hoping for systemic reform. That's what I'm hoping.
What would
for.
that look like in the case of this election?
For me, it would look like a minority,
Labour minority.
a Labour minority, where Labor gets a slap in the face. Boy, you've moved to Malcolm Turnbull grade Liberal Party kind of policies here.
Yeah.
You're like on the I know on the ABC vote compass they're centre left. I would put them centre right,
Mm-hmm.
just based on the things they put in are always half privatized sort of things. They're the kind of stuff that Malcolm Turnbull would do if he still existed as a portion.
Well, I mean, a lot of Liberals think that Malcolm Turnbull is centre left.
Yeah, of course. And so I love so that hope I feel is likely be dashed because I want to see that Aussie punters can vote for someone else and show the world what non-revolutionary change can look like because we have the mechanisms. But then the upside will be this is what Sky News wanted. This is what the Paul Murrays of the world wanted. They said when ScoMo lost, he wasn't conservative enough. He wasn't hard right enough. He wasn't father enough. And I said, when they put in Dutts, I said, one, look at that man. I don't believe a man that looks like that anywhere could ever become leader just based on looks alone. Just sheer marketing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not proud of that.
No,
but it's true.
it's
true. If it's true for someone as enlightened as myself, it's true for your average punter that someone we are superficial, fundamentally human beings, all of us.
Yes, just by that.
I don't tease Dutton for the way he looks. I don't think it's
No, I
nice
don't think
for
it's nice. I'm
comedians
not
to go.
gonna go.
I don't think it's nice to.
But if I was the guy in his back room
it's
saying,
it's a tough pick.
if I was in the selection room, I'd be like, yeah, even if he was really charismatic, it'd still be tough.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, okay, Trump's an interesting looking man. I wouldn't even call him ugly. Like
you got the hots for Donald Trump.
You got
Wow.
me.
And Clive Palmer.
I want to do an AI video of you,
There it
Clive
is.
Palmer, Donald Trump.
And now someone's going to do it. Thank you very much.
All
Thanks.
getting it on.
Thanks to the internet.
No, I know what you mean. Though.
You've heard
There
it,
is a
yeah.
certain charisma to Donald Trump.
There is a
that
certain
Dutton
he's
doesn't have.
not an attractive man, but he fits the mogul look
Yes.
of some sorts. Like he's a monopoly character of sorts that we're
Yes.
used to. Like
You can see him and his little mushroom dick they're an archetype. They're an archetype. Yeah.
yes, he's an archetype. And so all the way back to Sky News, I just wonder at what point they go, oh, I guess being killing the Liberal Party and making them the National Party by essentially knifing any minister that said climate change existed, killed the Liberal Party, like you said earlier in the stream. All the brains have drained from the Liberal Party. Who's left? So they've kind of killed the party. And I'm just wondering what Sky News, if it is an absolute romping for the Libs, what's their? They always say they weren't conservative enough, or he panded to the left too much. What are they going to say?
It's going to be fascinating. Just lastly on the point about Dutton's unlikability, I don't know if you remember, but when he first came into power as the leader of the opposition, there was a feature profile piece in the Murdoch tabloids, and it was like a light and fluffy interview with his family. They sat down with his wife and kids, and at one point during the interview, his wife made the mistake of saying in passing, "Look, he's a lovely guy. He's very sweet. You know, he's not a monster." And the Daily Telly
that
and the
was
other
a passing
tabloids,
comment.
yeah, they put on the front page a picture of Dutton looking like Voldemort with the quote, "He's not a monster," attributed to his wife.
And that was the Telly.
That's his wife. That is his wife. That's from his wife. He's not a so if you voted for Dutton,
which proves that even beyond their role, which is plumping for the Liberal Party, literally is an arm of government, the propaganda arm. If they see a good story, they'll jump on that
the
first.
desire for a funny headline will always
will prevail. That's right.
Political.
And then they'll go back and barrack for him for the next 6 weeks. But that's right. He's not a monster was clearly going to blow him up.
Yeah.
And they
It's
must.
not great.
They must
The
have
glasses,
known
good
that.
move though.
You know,
Good move. If I bet he doesn't even wear glasses, but that bloke in the
that's
marketing meeting was like, Pete,
put on the
these
glasses.
gives him eyebrows.
Yeah.
Squares out his face.
Is there a wig?
But to get to your point of why are they doing it?
Yeah.
Well, I often wonder, but their point is media, clickbait attention, and it's a lost leader. They don't make any money out of it. It loses money. News Corporation in Australia. But, well, except for the realestate.com.au, that makes money. But the reason they do it is literally to create division. And we all know it because you know your uncle or dad who watches Sky News after dark. Their job is, their project is, their mission is to make old, angry, right-wing males more angry, right-wing and grumpy and assholes.
They're a scapegoat machine.
And it works.
They pump out
I don't think
scapegoats.
it's
And it
just
works.
old, angry, right-wing white males. There are old, angry, right-wing white females who
plenty.
love it.
Yeah.
They
Who
love
watch it with their
I know a few
husbands.
of them. Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Yeah.
They lap it up. I don't think Murdoch's papers lose money.
Yeah,
They do.
Propaganda
Australians
should
never
lose you
made
money.
How can you make money literally when you're competing against the internet? Especially, it never did. I used to work there for 8 years as a columnist, and it never made money in those days
Yeah.
because
But that was during the transition after classified ads.
that was pre.
Oh.
It was always run as a loss leader. It's a national daily. It used to have a lot of respect, and they're close to the politicians. They got people in the press gallery, and it's national. So, but how do you make money? Literally, when your business model is putting trees on, processed trees on, flying
I
them
thought
out.
we were talking about the tabloids. But
well, the
Daily
tabloids
Telly makes money.
No, it's Daily Telly's much. How could the Daily Telly make money?
Well, by the fact that News Corp makes a fortune.
No, it's realestate.com.au that makes all the money.
But
We'll get a fact check on that one.
brainwashing- Jamie, bring that up.
Thank you, Jamie.
I've been reading News Corp accounts for 20 years, and they bury what the actual newspaper makes. But have a think about it. How can they make money spending all this money making newspapers when they're up against people that have got no cost base?
Yeah.
Sending it out to
increasingly.
Wagga Wagga, Corindai, every country and town in Australia. They can't. And it doesn't. It's a lost leader. And that's why no gambling ads. And that's why digital media bargaining code.
To keep propping up their money machine.
Yeah.
Because brainwashing Australians, you should have to pay for that privilege. That's just what I think. I don't think you should be able to make money to brainwash Australians, except
Apparently they don't make money, according to Westy.
Well, they can't on their
but it's an
model,
ecosystem.
but I'll tell you where they may make money.
Yeah.
They've always been, as you know, because didn't you get harassed by them recently?
Oh, they're digging. They're currently digging. It hasn't come out
it
yet,
hasn't
which is
come out,
weird.
right,
Like, give up now. Election's over.
I used to have a
guys.
crack at me, and I used to get
Yeah.
subscribers every time. So I
Yeah.
love it when they pin the ears back and have a go at me, but they don't anymore, unfortunately. But no, oil and gas. They've always been so pro oil and gas, like ridiculously so. They do these big survey lift outs in the business section, like pages of pictures of oil rigs and stuff. Nobody reads them. And of course, who's to say the oil and gas industry just doesn't go, well, this guy's the biggest media organization. Let's give them $500 a year. So if you count that, what we don't know about, they quite possibly could, because
Look,
otherwise
if they're not making money from all the ads, when you open the paper
haven't got
and then
any
you
ads.
realize that the front page is actually an ad, and then the second and third page
Yeah,
are
yeah,
a promotional lift out as well,
Do
and
you-
then you go to the
Harvey Norman.
travel section, and then it says like it's an advertorial. Like half the paper you can't even tell whether it's real anymore.
Have you got a rant loaded, Aussie man? You just let me know, mate.
I don't have much of a rant loaded. I'm listening, but I'm also heavily engaged. No. I'm heavily engaged in your comments section, which is fine.
Okay.
People are
Well, I
having a
might
good
jump in here,
time.
guys.
No.
Aussie
Jack.
man, if you'd like to look at your screen.
Aussie man, your boy
Conrad,
over
your focus is split. I understand it. As a
We
mega
have an update.
influencer,
We have an update.
We have an update. Look at the
Oh,
update.
dude,
Update. Who wants to read out
Labour
the
wins
update?
election.
They're calling it.
Oh,
They're calling it.
It's only
Conrad.
13 minutes to 9, and Labor wins.
The Guardian's always been good at following independent media stories.
Your chat
Wow, I
was
don't
ahead
remember.
of me.
I don't
Was
remember
the ABC called
847. I don't
ABC
remember
chat.
847 being
Your
What's his
chat
name on
was
the
ahead.
ABC?
Anthony Green.
Bloody hell, that was quick.
That's.
Yeah.
I don't remember one being that early. That's earlier.
That's
Wait,
early.
I also want to point this.
Your chat was like Channel 9.
Peter Dutton lost his seat.
Petey Dutt's lost his seat.
Oh my goodness,
There
that
you
is
go.
wild.
Yep.
That is wild.
Okay.
Yep.
Is this essentially what just happened? People who know stuff, you tell me. But is what just happened? Peanuts and the Libs did so badly that even if there is a swing towards independence, he did so badly that he has just handed Labor, if Labor just free reign. Is that what happened?
Well, yes. I mean, it looks like. I mean, we're speaking preemptively, but according to what we're looking
Doesn't
at,
stop anyone else.
Yeah,
This is the ABC, by the way.
No, the Dutton seat is the ABC, but has Anthony Green called Labor
Yes.
majority?
Not majority. He's called that Labor's won it.
Okay, so we've got Labor. So we've got Labor winning the election.
So Libs are out.
So
20 minutes in.
Yeah, so exactly. That's right. Polls only closed. Like people in Western Australia are still lining up to vote.
They haven't voted yet. Your vote, Aussie man, just doesn't matter.
Go home. It doesn't matter anymore.
Oi! Stop trash talking Western Australia. Stop casting your projections on Western Australia.
So there it is.
Yeah.
Dixon,
Our
ALP
polls
retain.
closed 48 minutes ago. We're home
Well,
having
in-
sausage sizzles.
Okay.
I mean, the short answer to your question
You talk.
is short answer to your question is yes. It's a complete wipeout. It's a total embarrassment for Peter Dutton. Peter Dutton will not be the leader of the opposition for very much longer.
Can we get
That's
Sky News?
inconceivable. So there'll be a leader. He'll either step down or there'll be a leadership challenge. But I assume that he'll step down. I mean,
You
look,
think
for
he'll
starting, well, he's lost his bloody seat.
Okay.
Right,
here's
so he's
what-
not, there'll be take some fancy footwork. I mean, this is astonishing for the leader of the opposition to lose his own seat.
I didn't want him
Amazing.
to lose his seat.
There's been a 9% swing against him and a 9% swing for Labor. Can't see what the indie up there, the Teal's done, but ALP gain Dixon 57 to 42.
Amazing. Can you just go to New South Wales, Westy, and let's have a look at some of the swing seats like Bennelong, for example.
Look at
which
you
was,
nerds. Get in it.
so
Bennelong.
is that a 38% swing to the ALP? in Bennelong?
ALP's won it.
Or-
The swings here 11%.
11%. So
11%.
Bennelong, which is I think the most marginal seat in New South Wales,
Yeah.
if not the country.
It's emphatic.
Which was a razor thin Labor majority, like
Yep.
Labor candidate, and I live there at the moment. And
Did you vote
Yeah, I voted
in
today.
that electorate?
Yeah, in that electorate. Yep. So you can thank me for that Labor vote.
You put him number one, did
I
you?
did put Labor number one, yeah. So as I was walking past, I mean, there was a lot of enthusiasm from all those Liberal how to vote card people. They really felt it's a knife edge seat.
Yeah, they
It
thought
could
they
go
could get
either
it.
way. They thought we can get this one.
Yeah.
So if you've got an 11% swing towards the Labor incumbent in a seat like Bennelong, that's a
So many
Incredible.
things. And just
Who's the Labor there?
just like some Jerome Laxalt.
Yeah.
Jerome Laxalt.
Oh, did he get up again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so many things seem to have gone wrong for Dutton, starting with, unfortunately, how he looks. But moving on to policy, I was at the poll. I was going to make a YouTube video today, just interviewing people in my local electorate, like Newcastle, pretty bogan town, nice, cool, great Aussie blokes everywhere.
Yeah.
And in the end, I didn't end up making it. People aren't that friendly around there. I was like, interviewing, hey, who'd you vote for? Like, fuck off, mate. And I'm like, fair enough, I will. But when I was just talking to the Liberal guy, who's obviously very eager, I was like, what's your policy, mate? He's like, free petrol, cheap petrol. And I was like, oh, that's your best one? He's like, yep, we're going to get the economy growing again. We're going to get jobs, small business. I'm like, yep, what's the policy? What's he going to do? And the bloke handing out the flyers, both of them,
Yeah.
I'm like, how is he going to make we'll get it back on track? Yeah. What do you mean?
Yeah.
What's the substance behind it? So I've kind of got two separate points. There was nothing that they were selling except the petrol thing that he hammered to death. But then the Greens, it'll be interesting to see how they go.
Yeah.
Very clear messaging.
Yeah.
I was, once again, just watching pollsters. Dental and Medicare.
Yes.
Free hex. I'm like,
Yes.
bloody hell, that's a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
pitch.
I think the Greens have done a really good campaign in terms of their marketing as well. I
Yeah.
saw a billboard today that said, don't let Peter Dutton win and give Labor the kick it needs. Greens.
They've
And I was
done
like, that's a
quite well.
perfect pitch, actually.
Yeah.
And just in case I'm offending your political sensibilities by confessing to voting Labor, you should be aware there was no independent running in my electorate. I had a long
dare
conversation
you.
with ChatGPT
Oh, did you?
about who I could vote for in my electorate because I was sure there must have been a good independent and I would have voted for an independent, but I grudgingly had to hold my nose and vote for Albo.
Well, in the spirit of transparency, I normally don't tell. Oh, rant alert.
Yeah, bloody, you got donations, mate. You got donations.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can also say whatever you want, Aussie man.
I'm
You
gonna-
have
I'm
a
gonna-
donation, kid.
They
I'm
go
gonna
from the
have to
electorate
get
of
a bit-
Dixon,
I'm gonna have
mate.
to get a bit boisterous with my interruptions, or else Perth is isolated and we're being oppressed. IT Keneriza $5. Fuck yes. Hey, Punts, do you think we are a left-leaning, right-leaning, or centrist country based on our current policies? Keep it 60 seconds or less, Punts.
Yeah, what I think we're inherently conservative. Like we don't like change. Centrist is interesting because obviously compared to what, I'm always like, where are we sitting? We're obviously left of the United States. But I think change doesn't. I think we're inherently conservative.
I think that's right. I think we're an inherently small C conservative country, but I don't think we're very big C conservative in the sense that I don't think we're obsessed about the kinds of things that conservatives are obsessed about.
The culture wars didn't take
No,
here.
exactly. That's right. And I think we're pretty progressive minded in terms of being like, she'll be right. Like, I think the idea of egalitarianism and like giving people a fair go.
Do you think she'll be right
real.
is this very medium thing where it's like, she'll be right, conservative, leave it the same way, or she'll be right if you made a change, she'll be right?
Either way, take your pick.
Yeah.
I think it's both. Actually,
Okay.
yeah.
No, good answers. Good answer. I'm going to cut you off. We got to keep moving. No, you got fucking money. Demola, $50, Punts. Fucking round of applause, everyone. Come on. You got to acknowledge that. Please take this donation to commemorate this historical moment, an opposition leader losing their seat. Fuck. Wow. Zach
That is pretty good. That's a good.
So, I mean, what is interesting now is
they were like $50. Fuck yes.
I mean, one thing I'll be thinking about over the next few days and weeks in terms of the state of look, we on the left can crow all we want about the demise of the Conservatives, but a healthy democracy actually does need two good, functional sides of politics. It needs
competition more than anything else.
That's right. And what happened at the last election when the Scott Morrison government did such a terrible job and was wiped out by the Teals is that, the Conservative Party lost all of its reasonable-minded and sane and, moderate people. So
the Liberal Party is dead.
Yes. And at that time, it became this rump of conservatives. And for them to now drive it off the cliff even further means that what is the talent? Who's on the bench to replace, to become the new leader of the opposition?
Angus Taylor has just retained his seat by the look of it.
It's definitely Angus.
So it'll be Taylor, presumably.
Once again, on physical looks alone.
Yeah.
Angus looks
fabulous.
the part. Looks
He's
fabulous.
a prime minister.
You spoke to him.
I spoke to him. So if people who are watching who have no bloody idea who I am, I have a show called Uncomfortable Conversations, which you've been on, and we talk about, interesting. We have interesting.
Not afraid to
tread
tread on some cancel culture.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. So we don't worry about treading on eggshells or triggering any tripwires in talking about things that the traditional legacy media find it difficult to talk about sanely. And so I sat down with Angus Taylor a few weeks ago. I definitely got the impression that this is a prime minister in waiting, both in terms of his intentions and in terms of his electability. He's likable, he's charming, he's got a small town story. Smart enough. He's a Rhodes Scholar. He went to Oxford.
Okay.
He's got the
what's the enough? What's the enough?
The
half
enough
of that?
is I don't believe that he's a vision. I don't believe that he has vision.
How would you describe my intelligence? Smart enough?
Smarter than
You're more than
Angus.
smart enough. Yes,
More than smart enough.
You're
I'll
more than
take
smart
that.
enough.
Okay,
You're more than
I
smart
appreciate
enough.
it.
It's not-
Boy, everyone, I haven't finished, by the way.
Sorry. Okay, sorry.
Hell.
Continue.
East Coast wanking themselves off. Zach Hype, shout out for your $20. Fucking Zach, legend. So how do we think this result will affect the burnout comp at Summer Nats 2026? Asking the real questions. What do you reckon, Conrad?
I think it'll do as well as it has done previously.
The burnout
There you
comp.
go.
Is that a thing? Do you have a burnout? What is Summer Nats? I had to fucking...
Summer Nats is a car show,
I had to
yeah?
Google.
It's a car show where all these mad blokes get their cars
Oh my
that they
God.
spent years tinkering with in the garage, neglecting their children to be like, nah, I'm fixing this thing up. And they build pretty cool cars and they just do burnouts because chicks
Dude,
love burnouts. And if they don't,
it's
it doesn't
kind of
matter.
awesome. I love
Yeah.
burnouts. It's not just chicks. I love
Yeah, who
burnouts.
Yeah,
does
that's
it?
true.
Honestly, I'm the one guy that's like, if someone does a burnout wheelie on a motorbike down the hot road, you know
Yeah.
how a lot of Karens and a lot of shows
They
so dangerous.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yes.
respect, man.
Yes, quiet respect.
Like, give it.
Absolutely. You're talking to a guy who spent his 14th birthday. I had my 14th birthday out at the Speedway, and we went and watched the Smash 'em Up derbies.
Oh,
the demolition,
see, that's good.
demolition derby.
That's
Yeah,
good.
It was fabulous.
Bring back demo derbies.
Absolutely. Why not?
Are they still going?
Who knows? They're probably going in Western Australia, right?
Of course.
Seems like the kind of place.
That's a sellout event. We will sell that shit out. Monster truck shows. If I can,
I think that's
if I can take my 6-year-old, we will sell that shit out.
That's actually how the West. That's how the West Australians select a premier. They put them in a demolition derby tournament, and whoever wins.
I thought they just asked Woodside, who you want. Got him.
Buttsack, I see you, Buttsack. Thank you for your $6.66.
I saw that one. Thanks, Buttsack.
Cheers.
Can we
Everyone
just see
take
what
a moment
Anthony
for
Brown, the
Buttsack.
ABC has said? Just see the ABC election update because I want to see when we get. I mean, surely this is a majority, but
how much?
Yeah,
yep. Continue, Aussie man.
Oh yeah, you got more. You're fucking loaded. I can Reza. Hey Punts, do you think we are left leaning, right leaning, or centrist country based on our current policies? Punts.
Did we answer that one?
Yeah,
we did that one.
You answered that one. All right, Tash Seller, $50. Punts. Can we? I know that's a lot. That's two.
It's a lot in cost of living crisis.
That's two bloody palmies. Can we continue to point out all the issues and shit things politics has screwed us with and sound like a bunch of whinging poms, but we're better than that? How do we, the citizens, bring about complete change to our political system? Fuck me, Tash. That's huge. Punts.
should be able to knock that one over in about 20 minutes, right?
Knock it over in 1 minute to take money out of politics, because that is the most influential thing. It has been marvellous to see in the past 4 weeks, though, suddenly this vibrant talking to the people, suddenly coming this slather of policy that's happened. It's all happened.
Yeah, no policy for 2.5 years.
Because what happens is the rest of the time somebody else is running the joint, and then suddenly the voters become more interested, that the politicians become more interested in voters than corporate people. You know, Zionist lobby, the anti-Semitism thing's just gone, vanished during the election campaign. The Business Council of Australia, who usually is coming up with the press is running, gas shortages, all that stuff has just died. And suddenly both parties coming up with policies. So
yeah, I mean, I think if there was one thing that I would want to take away from this election, and that I hope that Labor will take away, is that it's not, it's unfortunate, because unfortunately the problem with having a party as bad as the Coalition is at the moment, as the Liberal Party is at the moment, is that it makes the Labor Party think that they're more popular than they actually are.
Right.
So they're going to interpret this win as being something.
And that's what
this is my biggest fear.
Right, yeah,
look at Labor Victoria.
Yeah,
like worst. I lived in Victoria. I will never live there because they're freaking nanny state. They ban everything, speed cameras, everything. I hate it. And
it's pretty bad here as well. It's pretty bad in New South Wales as well.
Trust me, you don't know bad.
It's just more expensive.
There is, But anyway,
but I mean, you know, where is the vision? Like, where is the party that actually seems to be, as you say, Michael, like on a daily basis, actually in the middle of a term, doing things that are audacious and that are, you know, interesting, and
there's nothing visionary, is there, Josh?
No.
That's the point. But if you're looking just at the basic swings at the moment, they actually haven't changed much in an hour. Labor, 2.7% swing. Independents, which are the Teals, up 4.6%. So that's good. Well, that goes to the whole independent thesis.
Yeah.
But it's not just kids. It's the Teals are mostly, you know, like the wealthy seats, and so on. But there are other independent seats. Your favourite, of course, Trumpeter Patriots, 1.9%. That's it. So Aussie man, woo. That 1.9% is a disaffection vote.
Yeah, that'll be people being like
disaffection vote.
So is
One Nation up 1.2%.
So One Nation's got 6.4% of the vote at the moment, and Trumpet of Patriots is 2.1%. So is a Trumpet of Patriots voter just a disillusioned One Nation voter who's like, why doesn't One Nation speak for us anymore? Yeah, that's right.
Do you think Trumpet of Patriots is how many Trump voters we have in Australia?
No, I think we have more than that.
You think?
Yeah.
Who do they vote for then?
Oh, the Coalition or One Nation.
But then why wouldn't you vote Trump as the Patriots?
Because you'd just think that they're just a basket case,
chance.
and they've got no chance.
But that doesn't strike me as a Trump voter.
You've got 10.
They believe in their cause.
So effectively, you've got here, Josh, you've got 10% of right-wing independent voters. Trumpet, and One
Trump
Nation.
and
One Nation,
together are
6.4%.
8.5%.
Yeah,
Look at these
8.5%. And who knows what's in others? Probably a few of those kind of things, right? You got the Greens on the left, 13.6%.
Are they doing better or worse than normal?
Well, they're up.
Same.
They've only got a swing of
Same.
0.5%. But my point is, if they didn't get so much hate from everybody and blocking of
Yeah,
their
do better.
policies, who knows what the Greens' policies are? Nobody's listening in the mainstream media.
When I
know?
talk to punts about the Greens, it's very interesting because I'm like, what's the policy? I'm always policy over party, says on the t-shirt, punterspolitics.com.
Yeah.
What's the policy? Tax the gas bludgers.
Yeah.
The Greens are very open about we're going to do that.
Yeah.
Like we're going to
Yeah.
get the money for our resources and royalties.
Yeah.
But it's just very interesting when punters all agree on that. No matter who you are, where you are, they agree on that premise. But as soon as they go Greens, there's this aura around the Greens brand that makes people just, I just don't know. They're a bit crazy, a bit radical.
yeah.
So there's something that doesn't work about the Greens thing. Josh.
So we've got our next guest lined up to jump in. I believe Sarah is on the stream.
The
So
one and only
I'm just
Sarah McDonald.
going to have to rejig some audio stuff really quickly.
Do you need my
but
laptop?
Let's see. No, don't need your laptop. Let's see if you guys can hear them from here. Hey, Ozzyman, can you have a chat for a second?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. What do we got? We got Po Rava. Shout out to Po Rava, $14.99. Thank you, Conrad Michael and Ozzyman.
He's just
I slipped in there. Shout out to Perth. Thank you.
Josh.
He was
Oh,
like,
keep going, mate. Keep going, mate. It's
yeah.
fun.
Appreciate your efforts. Much love. Iron XXVI. That's bloody Roman as fuck. Thank you. And you thought Elbow was insufferable before. Just wait. Oh, Elbow's going to be more insufferable. Zukin, you $10. You work miracles, Conrad. You're a miracle. You're like a part the Red Seas guy. You got me. Yeah. You're a leader. You got me to care about politics. Bruce Dillon, $14.99 super sticker. No comment. That's badass.
Wow. Just
Quick.
dropping cash.
Just dropped a sticker. Quigs, Bruce, bloody Quigs Anton, $10. Labor has gone all Danny D on the LNP this round. Thanks for covering this, you beautiful bastards. Cheers, Quigs. Shout out to Quigs at 7:02 p.m., whatever that is, Melbourne time, 9:02. No, I'm aware of you Eastern Staters.
Only West Australian time matters.
Yeah.
Only West Australian time matters.
We're all kissing your ass. I'm aware of 9:02 p.m. over there, 9:05 p.m. Cheers, Quigs. You're a legend. So that's your update from the super chat.
All right. I want to hear from Sarah McDonald, one of the country's best broadcasters, former host of the ABC morning show on ABC Radio Sydney. G'day, Sarah.
Moving up in the world.
Hello. Hi.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
What an amazing night. I did not think I was actually at a wedding tonight, Sarah, and I came here thinking, look, we'll probably get a decision sometime between 9:30 or 10:30, as you usually do. Didn't know it'd be a wipeout. What do you reckon?
Well, look, I kind of, being a real scientist that I am, I did say to a few people I know who work in this area today, look, I can think it's going to be Labor. I can feel it in my waters, which is my scientific assessment. Thanks to Kath and Kim. So I knew they were going to win, but I thought One Nation would do well and their vote is up. But I'm amazed, like I'm in the most marginal seat in New South Wales, Bennelong, and the swing is like, and I know that postals haven't come in, but it's a massive swing to the LP. And this
11%.
I was just talking about that. It's
gone
11%. It's
and
wild.
this area got because North Sydney got abolished, right? So it got some of the areas of North Sydney that are kind of the posher part that was Kylie Tink's seat. And so I was thinking, this will be interesting. It's got a big Chinese demographic, but I thought, the posher suburbs, what are they going to do? They didn't have an independent running this time. It's a massive swing to the ALP.
Huge.
And so Sydney and Melbourne for the ALP are almost wastelands now.
Yeah. It's also amazing that there weren't independents running, Sarah. I mean,
Do you think that's why? That could be why it's such a huge swing?
It is interesting, isn't it? Because it's conceivable that the Conservatives had no one to vote for apart from a Dutton government. Didn't want that. And then voted Labor, held their noses and voted for Albo.
I think that's what's happened, right? So they liked Kylie Tink. I think that, if the seat didn't get North Sydney got split into three. And so Zali Steggall took some, Bradfield got some, and that's why Paul Fletcher, the Liberal, resigned. He thought he was going to lose. And Nicolette Boyle, I think it's still too early to say whether she's won that as independent. But some went into Bennelong, which was Labor last time. But it has swung. This is John Howard's old seat, right? Like this is, and there have been posters up of Scott Young, the candidate here, with John Howard.
I got a letter from John Howard, Sarah. I got a letter.
Did
you? It was a pro forma letter. I mean, it was a photocopy,
say, "Hi,
but it was
Josh"?
from John Howard, and it was addressed to me personally, and it was endorsing the Liberal candidate for Bennelong. So talk about egg on your face. Like literally, he was like, "I've known Scott for many years, and he's a good man." And now he's got 11% against him. Sarah, you said that you predicted that there'd be a swing towards One Nation. It looks like the current swing is 1%.
1.9%.
Yeah, it's not huge, but it's
2%.
it's there.
Oh,
1.2%. No, 1.2%
sorry,
to One Nation.
1.2%.
Why did you think that there'd be a swing towards One Nation?
Well, I'll tell you why, because I just think we all live in our bubbles, right? Like we all live, and this has happened more and more since mainstream media doesn't have as big an impact anymore, and we've got our fabulous podcasters and people like you guys. And so, but I've been doing some work on GB, and so they were saying to me this week, which is an older demographic, and they were saying we interviewed all
That's
the leaders.
2GB, which is like 3AW.
2GB, yeah.
Yeah.
And
That
they were
Murdoch?
saying, which
Nine.
no, it's not
Nine.
Murdoch. It's part of Nine's stable, but it would follow the Murdoch press, right? It was like Peter Dutton's a great bloke. He's amazing. Everything that's wrong with his country is elbow. But the most excitement they got of all of the interviews that they did this week was not Dutton. It was Pauline Hanson. So I think that the coalition's bled to One Nation a bit. I'm surprised the Greens haven't done that well, though. I thought, like you guys, that they would do better amongst younger voters, especially. But I think a lot of people were worried about a coalition government, so they put their first preference to Labor where they might have normally gone Green.
So people
think
still
that's
don't
right.
understand preferential voting then.
Yeah.
This is what blows my freaking
But
mind.
it is confusing between the Senate and the House.
What?
Like,
Just put your...
It's green and white. It's not that hard.
Hot girl number 1, second hot girl number 2, rank them. That's our vote. That's our system. And then it'll still end up how it ends up. No? What am I missing here?
Yeah.
Well, what you're missing is it doesn't work that way. It doesn't necessarily work that way in the Senate, right?
Yeah.
It's like you want in the House. Yes, if you vote Greens number 1, then that's basically a vote for Labor because the Greens probably aren't going to win your seat.
Yeah.
But in the Senate, it does matter to put Greens number 1, and that doesn't go to Labor because the Greens will get a Senate seat. I understand the confusion.
Do you? I'm just like,
You just know too much.
do I just rank them? Just if you think like, here's the thing. Here's the analogy. At least I'm like thinking. It's like it's that bus, and you want to move that bus as far as you want. So if let's say the Labor bus is centre right, like I think it is, right? It's kind of my layman's thing is the Liberal Party of old, the Liberal Party with Malcolm Turnbull is dead. The Nationals now hold what is now called the Liberal Party. They're losing to One Nation. One Nation are kind of like they're out One Nationing the Nationals. And so Labor's kind of gone, oh, we need to like become centre right to like become the centre. And then if you want to pull that Labor bus, you just go, even if I don't like the Greens, even if I don't like 50% of the policies, but I like the capital gains, negative gearing stuff, you vote Greens and pull the bus. That's like, and you're still voting Labor, but you've let them know.
I understand the metaphor.
Can I say one area where I think the Greens went wrong, right?
Yeah.
Is the appearing at the CFMEU rally in Brisbane, right? So things like that was stupid. Young women went, what? Or all women went, no, right? The CFMEU, there was thuggery involved. There was allegations against them. I don't think that he should have done that, right? And I think that's, and maybe stuff on Palestine, I don't know. I don't think it was about housing, but I also think it was because people were worried that the coalition would get in because they've been seeming so confident. So they went, oh, I'm just going to put number 1 for Labor just in case. And I agree.
I reckon that's
I know.
part of it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Could I just make one point though, Sarah? I reckon we did 2 stories on this in the past 10 days. There's the smear campaigns, the dark money, Advance Australia, Better Australia. There's 10 of them, 15 of them we identified. They're heavily funded by fossil fuels and Zionist bodies and so on, pro-Israel groups, and they were vehemently attacking the Greens across the country, across all social media platforms, like ridiculous stuff like the Greens are going to set up an Islamic caliphate in Australia and stuff like this, like just bizarre stuff. Now, we, of course, would laugh at that, but some people take this stuff seriously.
No, but no potential Greens voter does.
No, well,
that's not why people don't vote for the Greens, because they've read that the Greens are going to set up an Islamic caliphate.
But
Like
they
you have
get
to
smeared more
already
than
be
anyone
a
else.
well, yeah, but you have to already be a trumpeter, patriot, or One Nation
To believe
voter
that.
to believe that, right?
Sure, but
I think Sarah's onto something when she says that the Greens' message has been muddled. I think their marketing campaign about like we are a good, but it's always a. So what was good about their marketing campaign was don't let Dutton in and give Labor a kick in the pants.
Yeah.
But it wasn't good about anything that the Greens stand for.
so they're
There
not
was,
Anything
there was
the
Medicare
Greens-
dental. That was the one thing that I saw.
And housing.
housing.
Which
Yeah,
is
but what do
I
you do
thought-
about housing? I don't know what their
AUKUS.
You
policy
build
on
houses.
housing is.
AUKUS.
No, but they're
AUKUS.
not in favour of building houses as aggressively as the Liberal Party is in favour of building houses.
I thought they were.
No,
I thought
but-
they were a government housing developer.
Yeah, government housing.
Yeah.
That's not
Which
going to do it.
is
It's not going to be enough.
So they're up.
I think
they've
that's
got
a
a
big
swing
point,
of
no?
0.6% to the Greens, right? But they've got 665,000 votes compared to the coalition's 1.5 million. So they would have more than the National Party's vote.
through the Greens.
Yeah, but far less seats.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Because
So
they're all over the place.
because they're all over
Yeah.
the place. So what I'm saying is 13.4% of the country on the current count have voted for the Greens. And if you add them all up, the same trend persists. So you've got a third, third independents and Greens and minor parties, third Labor, third Liberal.
Sarah, what were you just going to say?
Oh, I think that it's been interesting that climate change hasn't been a big thing, but I think the Greens were doing well on housing because they were also talking about the capital gains tax discount,
Yeah.
right? They were also talking about negative gearing, and I think those were important things to bring up. I think they were doing really well on housing. They were the only ones talking about renters. And that's why I'm surprised. I would have thought they'd done a bit better, but I do think it was just about people. I think this election was about no to Dutton. I think Dutton was poison, and women especially just went, absolutely. I know you were talking about what he looked like before, which but I don't think it was even that. I just think, and the more he tried to go towards the One Nation thing, the preference deal they did with One Nation, I think people were just like, dude, you are toxic. There's no photos of him around except put on the top of the Independents lurking with the MAGA hat, right? That the people graffitied on top of them. He's poison.
Yeah. And I think that's the other element, the interesting global element. And back to the top of the show, Ozzyman was kind of talking about what was going on, with how Albo represents himself as a leader. And I wonder if there is now an incredibly low global bar as we now look at America, look at the chaos that Trump has kind of ensued. He hands a victory to a losing party of Canada by providing Canada with some nationalism of like, nah, stuff America. We're done. And so I just wonder if when you look at Albo and you look at, Dutton, and then you look at the leaders surrounding, Albo, he's stable, he's normal, he's nice, he's whatever. He looks amazing. Back to your point, there's no competition.
No.
If there's no competition.
You could elect a block of cheese on a stick.
And if that cheese is Swiss, he's done.
It's basically what Albanese and Keir Starmer and Joe Biden were and are. Yeah, block of cheese on a stick.
Okay, so give me your take on this. Is this left progressive movement the most unlucky movement in history? Because you've got Jeremy Corbyn winning with a higher vote count than Keir Starmer in the UK, and then you've got Bill Shorten with like pretty good policies. Like he was like, hey, here are the policies. We're going to like sort these big systemic issues. We're going to be bold with the bold agenda. It just out like it's like the wrong time. He was just 10 years too early.
Yes, all the stars have to align for big change. All the stars have to align. You need the person, you need the right policies, and you need the right person. You need a Barack Obama
and the right time.
And the right time. Yes, but Shorten was not I don't think, a good political player, and to sell policies as bold and audacious as he was, you would need a talent the likes of Bob Hawke.
But if I think if Bill Shorten,
the last person to do the same thing.
If Bill Shorten was running now, I think Bill Shorten would I think walk away with it against
easily.
Dutton. Do you know what I mean? And so, but the Labor
block of
Party,
cheese on a stick,
the Labor Party, I feel like Albo's going to walk away going, see, that's why we never talk negative gearing. That's why we never talk tax incentives. That's why we never talk change.
I'll let you go in a second, Sarah, because I don't want to keep you all night. But this is one of the worries, isn't it? That the Albanese government will take this as a thunderous vindication of what it's been doing, rather than what it probably is, as you say, just a repudiation of Dutton.
Well, I think Albanese is very good at this sort of stuff. He's good at politics. But I tell you who's done very well tonight on the ABC broadcast is Jim Chalmers. I mean, he is the next in line and he is impressive. But now Anthony Albanese is like, I've got 28 dudes. I'm the man. And you're quite right. He should be cautious about that because he's possibly been too cautious. And let's see next term whether he, what do they say? Piss or get off the pot. Let's see if he'll actually implement greater reform.
What are the odds do you think he will?
I think when he's done better than he will, I think he'll step up a little bit more. I think he'll be less cautious. He will see this as a great result for him. And I think that he will heed the call because the coalition are going to be so annihilated. And if they go to Angus Taylor, like, the guy who writes in his own Facebook, nice one, Angus, good one, Angus. I don't see him capturing the national mood. So Albanese is going to have a field day with him in the house, right? Every time he talks, they're going to go,
Sarah.
nice
It's
one,
a good
Angus.
hairline. Hair. I mean, second only
to quote Josh, smart enough.
I don't think he is. I don't think he's smart enough.
He's a Rhodes Scholar.
He's a Rhodes Scholar.
Tony Abbott was a Rhodes Scholar as well.
Exactly. Tony Abbott was a Rhodes Scholar. But no, I tend to agree with you on this, Sarah. Josh and Punters think he can do it. I'm just
blinded by his handsomeness, his beautiful twinkling eyes.
You were taken.
His twinkling eyes. He enchanted me.
He looks like a good bloke too, but the point is he doesn't have the intellectual muscle, and they will carve him. Chalmers will eat him every day in Parliament. Will smash him, and he's got the Cayman Islands connection, and he's got all these dodgy business, not dodgy, shonky business.
But does the average punter care?
Yeah, that's right.
Probably not.
There's a lot to work with in that department.
He's not Dutton, though. He's not Dutton. He will be.
That's right.
Like Dutton was poison, as I said. He's not Dutton. But
even Dutton's not Dutton at the moment because he's lost his seat.
No,
so
Dutton's a feather duster. But, someone just texted me the dick is out of Dixon, who's up at the Labor Party there. Like but Angus Taylor, I think, will be more attractive and accessible to voters than Peter Dutton, that's for sure. But Anthony Albanese should take this as a sign that he can bring in more Labor policies and be less cautious, I think. But let's see what he does.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it depends what happens in the Senate as well, doesn't it? We don't know yet, I don't think. Do we know, Sarah, whether the Senate is...
No one talks about the Senate tonight. We'll talk about that next week.
No.
All right.
Well, here's I guess my theory in what I fear the most is that Albo, he hasn't brought anything bold to this election, so he can't say he's got a mandate. He might take his win as a big mandate and start doing something. But I just fear that if Angus can charm you in a studio, he could easily charm and be charismatic because I think personality wins. I think that's what wins. Yeah. Policy doesn't mean shit. And that's why I'm always talking about policy, because I think all it takes is for the Liberal Party to work out the Nationals are the reason they keep losing, ditch them, get control back, get a charismatic Angus in there or so. So someone, let's say, is charismatic. And then everyone gets disillusioned with Albo's lack of action.
Yeah.
Here's a new man who's charismatic. Bang.
Of course that'll happen. I mean, I think it's a combination. It's a combination of policy and of personality. I don't think. I mean, the best leaders have both. The Bob Hawkes and the Barack Obamas have policy and also personality.
They were both smart though.
They were smart.
West is leaning heavily on Angus.
Quite Papa smart.
Sarah, thank you. Any final thoughts?
Thank you so much. Well, I don't think they can get rid of the Nationals. Then there'll be absolutely a tiny pimple on the butt of Australia without the Nationals. Like, they're in a coalition. And
you think they can rebuild?
So I don't think that's going to change.
You don't think they could? Because, I mean, this was my layman's just take from the inside baseball but don't know anything about baseball take, was as soon as they started going the Nationals way, I was like, listen, Turnbull should just ditch these guys, start a new like centre kind of party. They'll be done for like 10 years, but rebuild with a proper like party to, you know, I don't know, let's get these.
Problem is that there isn't a majority in Australia for that party. I mean, I would like to see a Malcolm Turnbull party personally.
That would be the
Can
competition.
I say one more thing?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
they've lost to the independents, right? So that middle liberal, those moderate liberals you're talking about them getting back to that, they've lost to the independents now. They've lost those sort of people.
It's too late.
So they've moved more to the right towards One Nation. They did that deal with them. Whether they come back and be more moderate, the problem is they've lost a lot of their moderates to the Teal seats. So the hardliners are in there. They're not coming back.
That's
I don't
right.
know where they're going to
So
go,
they're
but
So do something, Albo.
Well, I mean,
nothing's
the other
booked. It'll
thing-
just change again because some people just go, oh, I've covered so many elections. Do you know what I've heard more than anything? Oh, it's time to give the other guys a go.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, it's
And,
time
I mean,
factor.
Sarah, in terms of the coalition and the National Party, you'll remember that when John Howard's most thumping victory, the Liberal Party itself won power, and they would have had it without the Nationals.
There you
This was back in the day, right? Like nowadays, the coalition doesn't even get as much of the primary vote as the Labor Party does. Usually, but he said at the time that the coalition is indispensable because you're basically straddling these two different ideologies in Australian political life, which is the Malcolm Turnbull one and the Outback Redneck one, for want of a better way of putting it. Yeah. And the Malcolm Turnbull one, neither of them has enough. Neither of them would ever win power on their own. In the same way that the Labor Party, if you split it into its two core constituencies, the inner city, cosmopolitan, urbane, latte sipping, Chardonnay swilling, progressive elite on the one hand, and the workers, the unions on the other, neither of those would. The Labor Party is also a coalition, an unofficial coalition.
Unless we splinter, like a lot of European countries.
Yeah, which is also possible, but that has problems of its own.
Yeah.
Okay. Sarah, great to see you. Thanks
Well, I'll
for
get back
chiming
to
in.
my Chardonnay. How about that? And, enjoy your night. But, yeah, it's
Drink
been
up.
an interesting one.
Amazing.
I don't
Awesome,
really
thank
drink
you.
Chardonnay. See ya.
Have a latte.
See ya.
See ya.
See you, Sarah.
Aussie man, what's your take on all that inside baseball, mate?
That's a lot of info, and I was, of course, distracted and stuck in the chat room.
What's the vibe in the chat room, mate?
The chat room's popping off. It's fun. I've got your back, Conrad. I've got your back, mate. It's there's a lot of chats going on about multiple topics. So it's popping off. You don't have to worry about that, mate. You don't have to worry about that. But yeah, Western Australia, it's pretty good.
Is that the official WA tourism slogan?
Yeah, it's pretty
I
good.
think so.
WA.
It's like Western. It's pretty good. I mean, here's a question for you. I mean, we make most of the money over here. What would you do without us?
That's a question.
we just die. Mate.
I'd say
Yeah, I mean,
you shut the
dig-
fuck up. Yeah.
You dig a lot. You dig a lot of stuff out of the ground.
We got ground.
so that's good. But I mean, we produce all of the productive energy,
Services.
the creativity, and all the services, and then we send a vast amount of GST back to you, so that you can suck off the welfare teat.
You like that? You like
Do ya?
that?
Do you? Is that truth or is that misinformation?
No, that's truth. The eastern states send New South Wales and Victoria pay GST, and then the federal government disperses it to the other states.
Any
But in all seriousness, what is our backup plan? Because resources is huge, and we dig shit out of the ground, and that's all we got. And besides kangaroos and punching down on Indigenous people, what else do we have?
What, WA or Australia?
Australia.
Well, Australia, I think we all probably agree that we should be taxing our resources and keeping some of that money for ourselves. But we also have pretty big industries in, we have a big tourism industry, we have a big education sector.
I think it's bleak. Like, I mean, I'm not an economist, and Westy probably has the numbers on it, but I think it is bleak. Our economic output, we rank on economic complexity lower than Uganda. Pull that up, Jamie. On economic complexity index. Get it up here. What? Economic complexity index. find what Australia's ranking on economic complexity. If that's how complex our economy is,
But all resource-rich countries rank low on that. I bet Canada does too.
I bet Norway doesn't.
You sure?
Right? I don't know. I bet.
I'll take that.
Okay,
bet.
Japan number 1, Taiwan, Switzerland, South Korea, Germany, blah 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 blah. Australia, I'll just go. Just keep like Denmark, Belgium. Okay, yeah. Find me Norway, then find me Australia, because I want to be Norway.
Yeah.
And in Norway, Australia is so low. We have houses, $1 trillion worth of money, like productive money that could be employing people in industry, starting things, locked into dumbass bricks that employs nobody, does nothing, just drives my generation out of housing. And then you've got mining, which we give away for free. And once that's gone, it's gone. Like Norway will have converted their money into a massive piggy bank.
I know.
We're done. We're cooked. What do we got?
You and I are in like furious.
So where's Australia? Australia. Well, no, you got to go lower than 35. We're like 70.
No, we're a farm and a quarry, as they say. That's
keep going. We're like, just Google find Australia.
I'm just legitimately asking.
Austria's doing great.
I'm legitimately asking. Like, what else do we? What else do we have?
Kazakhstan's ahead of us.
Well, this is the point. There's no value add.
Like the government goes lenient on mining companies, or like, and I'm not necessarily for that, but it's like they go lenient on those companies because literally, what else do we have? Like, are we going to become like legalized drugs and be like an Amsterdam down in the Southern Hemisphere, or what else? What else do we? Yeah, we could. That's fun. But what else do we have besides resources and mining that's going to keep us
we've
rich?
got a highly educated population.
Education's a big export.
We export.
But is that going to keep us rich?
Well, look at a country like New Zealand. I mean, they don't have the resources that we have. Yeah, but I mean, they're rich.
But that's the question. Like that's the good point that Ozzyman's bringing up, is that what do we have? And if we don't have it, if we're like, oh, we're okay at education, we're okay at, we do some stuff, we invent some stuff, but then we can't develop it here, so we sell it off overseas, right? What are we building? We have land. We could have cheap energy. We could have that, but we give it away for free. So
you're talking about Peter Dutton's nuclear power plants, right?
That's where I was going. This whole thing. Do we have
now, boys? We do have a new guest lined up for us to jump in. I believe Osher is here in the chat. Just give us a thumbs up in the green room, mate, to make sure that you're ready. Can you hear us, mate? Can you hear me?
All right, we got Osher coming on.
Osher's going to jump in.
He's going to kick. Osher's going to come on and kick one of us off.
That's right. Do I need a rose?
How are we feeling tonight, Osh?
I'm actually pretty good. I'm doing all right. I'm at an election party that ended a lot quicker than I thought it would.
The party or the election? It was like, boo, go home.
Oh well, everyone, like, someone called it, and then the place kind of emptied out. So it's been fun, but it's been a great day. My wife got on the tools down at the school, doing her part to make Australia great. I did my part because they ran out of onions, and I was on my bicycle, so I had to run home and get the food processors and bring it back so we could chop all the onions very quickly, because there's one thing that people need, it's onions when they're voting.
Osher, I was at a wedding, and I was like, okay, I'm going to skip the wedding, and we were planning it in advance. I was like, I reckon, usually the results come in at like 9:30 at the absolute earliest, probably more likely 10:30. So I'll rock up at 8:30, and my ass had been on this seat for like 12 minutes, and then all of a sudden, like, Dutton loses his seat, and like Labor's got a majority, and I'm like, do you remember an election? I don't remember an election ending that early and that decisive.
No, I don't, and I certainly don't remember feeling such joy and faith and belief in my country. My son's great-grandparents live in Dutton's seat up there in Queensland, and one of the neighbours that my youngest son plays with, she goes door knocking with the woman who's just won that seat there, and to know that electorate who for so long believed, oh, hang on, well, the light's gone out here. Oh, I'm at the back of the party.
This is reality TV, ladies and gentlemen.
That this electorate that believed in this man for so long has gone, actually, no, we're done with that. I kind of love that. I have a lot of faith in my fellow Queenslanders that they've gone and done that. Now, English is such a limiting language, as I tell my 5-year-old all the time, so we have to talk to the Germans and say, thank you for inventing the word Schadenfreude. It's beautiful.
I also like the fact that thinking about Peter Dutton's own electorate, that they were happy to vote for him when he was only representing them. But then the moment they had the opportunity for him to represent Australia, they're like, oh, hell no, absolutely not. No.
That was a joke.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't mind him here, but don't put him on the world stage.
But it's an interesting electorate, because there's a lot of it that's, people in their kind of maybe mid-30s to mid-40s, and maybe it's the first time they've got a house, and there's also a lot of people that have been there for a long time. But it's also some really very wealthy people that live on giant acreages with lots of horse floats in the backyard that live out there. So there's some big money bags that live out there. And for him to lose those people as well kind of gives you a clue as to, well, where did he lose them? Did he lose them with just talking nonsense about the nuclear thing? Like, after a while, people go, actually, what are you kidding? No. Like, it just makes economic nonsense trying to be selling it as real. Maybe that's where he lost them. I don't know, but I found it really interesting.
They're not seeming to have any ideas about anything apart from nuclear. Yeah. It doesn't help,
which isn't a policy. But then, how do you feel, Osher, with I don't know. I'm actually depressed with this decisive win. I'm actually what I'm voting for is change.
Yeah,
I want progress. I want to not wait 70 years for housing to become affordable. And I wonder if this Dutton sideshow has kind of we get to go, yay, we're not America, and we're not electing a Trump, and that feels good. But also, has that whole sideshow taken away our one moment?
Well, we don't know, because the power now lies in Anthony Albanese's hands to make that go one way or another. As Sarah McDonald was saying, either you can say, if only Labor had been slapped down a little bit and had to form a minority government, then maybe it would be forced into doing something more bold and audacious. But on the other hand, Sarah was saying, well, actually maybe this new huge buffer and mandate that Albanese has will give him the cojones to do things that he wouldn't have been able to do if he was in a minority government. So maybe you do need the big majority in order to enact change, but you just don't like the two parties.
I'm punting away from that. My money is on Albo does the same, nothing he does for 3 years. Osher, what do you reckon?
I certainly hope that doesn't happen, but I dare say that now, between, I heard you talking about, our mineral resources. Josh and I have been talking about this sort of thing for a very long time. This is, I think it's now Labor's to lose. We clearly don't want that, but you cannot fuck around. You cannot mess around with housing affordability. You can't mess around with defence. You can't mess around with our resources. We've sent a clear message. You better deliver. And this is what our job is. Our job is to hold people to account. Our job is, we don't vote people in, we vote people out. So give us no reason to vote you out.
I'm gonna kiss Osher's ass from the West Coast. That's a good point. He's got to double down now. It's a bit of that. Yeah. You've got your second term. Can you double down on it? Can you actually have some conviction and fucking sort some of this shit out?
You look right at him. Do you reckon he can deliver? Does he have the cojones? Does he?
Yeah,
He's not. If you want my honest opinion, he's not weak. He's not. Yeah. He's not a weak man. And that whole campaign. Do you think he'll do it?
Do you think now he's got a majority?
I hope so. Is my only answer to that. It's
but if you put money on it, which way are you going?
I'm not putting money on anything. I'll put money on a horse or Brisbane Lions. Fuck yes, winning the grand final. But what Osher's saying, it's a good bet. As a Lions fan, it's a good bet. But what Osher's saying is he's got a chance to double down, and I do think he'll take it, because in all sincerity, I do think his heart is in the right place. And
met the man.
I met the fucking man, and I don't think he's necessarily playing the Game of Thrones. I think he's out to fucking have a good crack and make some change after 9 years of a pretty shitty coalition. So I think he'll have a go at doing what he can with these big issues such as housing and healthcare. And yeah, I mean, a lot of us, I think, tonight are going to have hope in that. And it's not necessarily a misguided hope. I think he gives a shit. And I think that's a big difference from Dutton in terms of, oh, they're both the same. They're not. They're very different. And I think he's got a lot of difference from Dutton. And I think he's got a lot more conviction than people think he has. Yeah, you've still got to play the game.
I think that's crucial.
You've always got to play the game. There's no way around that. Like that's
it's a bit shit though, isn't it?
I think that's the power structure. That's the institution. That's what's embedded in society and in our country is a power structure and an institution. You got no way around playing that game.
But the other thing that is embedded in our society is the agitation and the upward pressure. We cannot underestimate the upward pressure and the power of upward pressure on policy. And Punty, your billboards are a perfect example of this. You've got to keep drawing attention to it. You've got to keep going. It has been 100 days. What? No, nothing's changed. You have to keep. It's not like, we're here, relax. No, it's like this is the part where you go up to fifth gear. Whatever you did with billboards, whatever your people got behind you, do it again. Like this is where you have to be. You cannot be denied. If you're undeniable, you won't be denied. And whether it be like Dan Illich putting those billboards in Times Square or you putting the billboards around the neighborhood, you've got to keep the pressure on to let people know the fucking mandate has changed. The social license for this kind of behavior is over. This is what the people want.
That's
also
huge.
one of the things
or else, the two parties get lazy, and lazy and apathy is huge. It can kick in, and you can go, well, I've achieved the top position, I'm done, and that could be a feeling with Albo because he's been in politics for 20, 30 years, right? So you can go, well, apathy has kicked in, and he's just riding it with the top job. But yeah, I still like to think he gives a shit. I think he has multiple issues on his mind. And I tend to credit that as being a pretty big deal because I'm like, you don't have to. You don't have to think multiple issues like should deserve your attention. But yeah, there's so many fucking issues out there. It's like
Osher Ginsberg. One of the many issues that you've spoken about at length on Uncomfortable Conversations, my podcast, and elsewhere, is climate change, and it seems to have been pretty absent from this election. How do you feel about the state of climate policy and the amount of focus that it's getting? And
I'm not thrilled about the green lighting of so many new oil and gas projects by the geniuses at the current government and now this current government. It boggles my mind, not only as a very silly economic idea, but also a very silly idea for the health of us as human beings. So having some sort of economic rationalism about this action, it's got to be done. We do need to very seriously. We've done it with the nuclear thing. Baseload power is a really interesting thing, and so is an economically clever decision. And nuclear is just not it. All right, storage, yes. Renewables, yes. Nuclear, no. But we do have to have that conversation. I think a lot of the communication around this sort of stuff has been framed with so much doom and gloom. If we frame it in possibility and think about, well, what could we do with abundant free energy when it comes to manufacturing in our country? Probably quite a lot. What could we do with exporting the energy that we generate here in ways that are not in liquid petrochemicals? Probably quite a lot. There's a lot of economic upside that we can frame climate action as, and that has to be the messaging, because that's the only way you're going to get centre and centre right people over the line, is going, well, here's how it's going to affect your super. Here's how it's going to affect your property prices. It doesn't matter if you start talking about trees or ocelots or whatever the fuck. They don't care. It's, oh, really? I'm only going to have this much place to retire on? Maybe I will change my mind. You've got to go with the money.
Yeah, I also like your point, Aussie man, about like Albo being a person who gives a shit. I think that is something we lose in our cynicism about both parties. He actually does. I think he actually does. Like, and it does matter. And if you can appeal to the better angels of some of these people's nature, then it is possible, as long as they see their own political self-interest aligning with their aspirations and their visions, then you can cajole them into doing the right thing.
I'm just a systems guy. And I just look at incentives. And I believe you 100% Aussie man that I do think he does give a shit. When it was him and Bill Shorten like vying for position, I wanted Albo. I saw his heart in it. I've seen baller Albo, the young Albo. And I'm like, I want this guy. And then I got Bill Shorten and didn't like him as much. And now in hindsight, he had way better policies, in my opinion, than Albo's got. But when I look at the system, when I look at every single resource minister going into work for these fucking gas corporations and mining companies, Mark McGowan goes to work for MinRes, like, and BHP and whoever else. Like, this is the system, and he's a good guy, but the system is what Westy points out: money, future jobs. I'm just so cynical on how this system shapes people.
No, that's fine. It's fine to be that cynical, but Albo doesn't have any future jobs that he needs to worry about anymore.
It doesn't, but the system he's part of, the people he needs to keep happy, the coal mines he needs to approve, the environment minister, Madeline King, who's going to go work in that industry. Like, Albo is not going to nut up and be a baller and fight on behalf of the punters on that issue.
You're not wrong.
I don't know. That's I don't know if you have anything to add on that.
You're not wrong. If you want to,
for that one.
if you want to go full, if you want to go full, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. It's like, you're not wrong. You're not, like, there's a system and there's an institution and there's a power structure.
But the system is why we are screwed and we cannot solve it.
No. I totally back that.
Is it the best we got?
No, it's not the best we've got, but the only way to change it is through the democratic process. And the problem is it's loaded. The recent electoral law changes loaded it further in favour of the two major parties. Yeah. And when you look at this parliament, it's an emphatic result, but who's going to be voting with each other? The parties with all the money, because that's where the money comes from, all the corporations. So the Liberal and Labor parties are going to be voting with each other just as much as they have in the past. And Aussie man, I totally concur. Josh, on board. Albo is a better human being. I think he's a decent guy. What he's achieved, coming from the left of the New South Wales right-dominated Labor Party all the way through to Prime Minister, with a lisp from a housing estate with his mum, never looked back. I mean, he's done well and he looks like a good guy, and I think his heart is in the right place. But the realities of power is this. How has he succeeded? By being a superb politician. You've got to give him that, because he's won this election despite the fact that Dutton was ahead in the polls, a lot of money behind him 1 month ago before this blowout. How did he get there? He went there by going to the centre and hogging the centre. And the dumb libs, who my theory is talent deficit, they've gone further to the right. They believe the Murdoch thing. They've lost moderate, sensible centrists who are respected across the parliament, like Burmo, etc. People have just left. And so there is this polarisation, but Australian politics has moved to the right. Now, if we tune into Sky News, which unfortunately doesn't look like we're going to do, which is to my great chagrin. I
just got the headlines.
I want to see Paul Murray's face. Come on. But, I think the problem is you've got this, but that's where the money is. Now, in moving to the right, they keep approving, as Osher said, fossil fuel projects. Not as many as in 2022, 2021 under ScoMo. Sure, it's down, but it is rising again now. They just approved the biggest, dirtiest gas project in Australian history, Barossa. Huge, dirty.
Which will be for export.
Which will be, it's all for export, mate. 80% of it is, other guys export, like Inpex, the Japanese guys, they export 100% of it, except they might get tapped in an emergency. But the money has infected Australian politics to the point where even if Albo, with his best intentions, he's got to get through a party room, he's got to get past the Liberal Party bagman to say, no, we have to make a decision which is against the interests of Woodside. And with all due respect to great West Australian companies, Ozzyman, Woodside, it wasn't Woodside actually, I retract that. Santos literally wrote the legislation on deep sea drilling that was passed, I think, last year. They literally wrote it. That we did a long, Rex Patrick got all the FOIs back. Santos literally wrote this stuff. Now, we've got a problem with money in politics. Now, that can only be solved by either serious political donations reform, and then you've still got the lobbyists. Mate, seriously, there are politicians who go to bed at night with government relations people for the gas lobby. Now, we're not going to go into the names, but I mean, it's quite well known. I mean, this is pillow talk is even stronger than money. Canberra is a hive of lobby groups and big four people and everybody just surrounding the Parliament Hill. I mean, I'm not
100% saying they should get a free pass or get less tax like benefits. It's just like, what else do we actually have? Like,
well, I mean, one possible solution,
besides resources and mining and minerals, what else do we have besides?
One possible solution to the kind of
Indigenous people.
Education is one.
Yeah.
On the question of Osher, I want to be able to let Osher go as well because I don't want to keep him all night. But Osher, did you have an independent candidate in your electorate, and were you ever tempted by TLs and so on? Because when Michael's talking about the capture, and I completely agree, Westy, that I'm skeptical about the level of influence that money has in comparison to how damaging the influence of not just pillow talk, but just the soup that you swim in. It's just your world, right? It's a bubble. It's a system. It's like it's not that you're being handed brown paper bags full of cash to do something. It's that you just think that doing the thing that all of your mates who go golfing with you think is the right thing to do is the right thing to do.
Similar you.
And so, one of the things that I think was optimistic about the teal wave at the last election was an attempt to bring in more actual independence. Like our political system was supposed to have representatives who would come from electorates and they would go to Canberra and they would work on behalf of the actual people. And those representatives might be shopkeepers and those representatives might be local, whatever, teachers or whoever. And they might go and be a politician for a while and then they might go back to the electorate. The idea of having full-time, lifelong career politicians is a kind of a strange thing. And I guess take that where you will, Osher, but maybe some final thoughts about that. Like, is there a way of empowering the political system so that it is more responsive to the needs of actual people?
Well, I guess, okay, so I'd say a few things. Like, number one, people have to remember, so again, yes, all the coal and gas approvals, Australia can take away the social license for a company to operate like that. Look what we did when supermarkets decided to bring in plastic bags. All right, we can, if we want to make a fuss, we can click a finger as a community and do it. So do not underestimate our power. We can do it. Number two, the people who become prime minister in a country are not the best leaders. They are not the best at leading people. They are simply the best at playing the game of being the leader of their party. And that is not, they're two very different skill sets. All right, in this modern time, we need someone who's fucking visionary. So how do we then incentivize those parties to bring someone visionary into that place? I might get a lot of kickback here, and it's certainly something that Punter, I heard you talking about. But if you could say to someone who becomes, an MP, it's like, we're going to pay you $3 million a year, $3 million a year. But that means you won't be taking some sort of bullshit, blind contributions to a family trust from some company for, doing a favor for somebody. Like you are, if you make people immune to grift, then people can really kind of trust in what it is. And it becomes a thing people from the private sector become like, yeah, this might be all right. We have to figure it out. But we cannot feel impotent or powerless in the face of these imaginary deals being done with people on a private jet somewhere in the Pilbara and somewhere else. We as a community, if we make enough noise, we can be pretty pissed off. And I have not had a chance yet to check the independent in my seat. You could tell me live and you'll be able to see my face if you tell me who won Wentworth. Because I don't know.
Allegra won an hour ago.
He's got no idea.
There you go.
In fact, I think they've all won, and their swing is 4.5%. So it's an incremental endorsement of what we're all saying.
Yeah.
that the Teals,
Yeah.
the Greens have only edged, but the Teals, because they've represented their communities
Yes.
and not
Yeah.
a party machinery backed by corporate
Yeah.
donations. So we
Yeah.
are heading in the right direction. The question is, as you guys raised before, will Albo use this mandate? Because he has the heart. That's what he wants.
We've got to demand it. We've got to demand. We've got to as if Dutton. What would you do? I guess my final thoughts would be: what would you do if Dutton had got in? Do that, because that's the amount of noise that needs to get made to get change to happen. And whatever you all are doing, and you, Josh, and you, Punt, and you, fucking Ozzy, you're all doing it. Don't stop doing it. Just keep doing it. All right.
I think that's
all right.
Why
You
part
do
of me
it too.
feared.
Whether it's Barry, whether it's Barry at first sight or fucking whatever, you make a political statement, Osh.
Hang on.
Hey, that works. Yeah, that works. We'll take that.
Thanks, Osha.
Thanks, Dosh.
Good night, boys.
He's all right. He's all right. That
He's
one.
all right.
He's a good man.
He's all right.
He's all
I
right.
reckon he's all
He's a
right.
good man, that one.
And she's romped
Is
it
it-
in against Dutton to
We have another person
56%.
ready to come in though. That's So, is it?
He's at
Oh,
an
okay.
elitist Sydney party, but that's fine.
Yeah, I'm really like,
Yeah.
you got to be on.
Oh,
some
he's
level.
he's at such an elitist champagne party, but that's fine.
I know. That's what I was saying to
Osh is
Josh. I'm like,
all right.
how do I cop an invite to some of these exclusive parties? Isn't someone watching the punt and want him to come to their suite? Like,
I know.
Yeah.
We make our own parties, mate.
well, we have to. That's
We
why
do.
we do this. We don't
guys
even
wanna
cop an
watch,
invite.
That's literally what losers do.
Do you guys want to
Do
watch
you
Dutton's
want to?
concession?
Yeah, let's watch
Yeah.
that. Let's watch Dutton's concession.
And then I want to see which indies got up to see how depressed I ought to be.
Yeah, we'll
They're
check the
all up.
stats. Because Dutton has lost his seat
Because
officially.
okay, because while that comes up, the thing that scares me most about an Albo, and I hope I'm wrong. Prove me wrong. I hope you're all right. But if he continues,
Well, to be clear, I wasn't making the prediction that he is going to
no,
go big on this.
you have more hope than me, I reckon.
I was just pointing out the possibility.
That's
your
still more
your
hope than
total
me.
doom,
My doom.
your complete
Because-
negativity
because
can
my-
be mitigated.
Because my
somewhat.
biggest fear is that with someone like Dutton, he's so. You see how quickly we turned on ScoMo? Like we discovered him in 1 year. Went, this guy's a fraud. Hammered him. My
I don't
fear.
know, I feel like I knew his fraud all along.
Yeah, but not everyone
No,
did.
no.
Whereas the theory is
ScoMo
Albo-
was fucked. Yeah.
I feel like Albo will burn people slowly, and people. Whereas like Peter Dutton will shock people into like, let's go, like more independence, more fire under the ass. Whereas now it's like, Albo, and we'll slide. The housing crisis not fixed, cost of living not fixed, monopolies in Australia not fixed, economic complexity not fixed, mining stuff not fixed,
Whistleblowers,
still
transparency in
in
government,
jail.
no movement there.
Long
Do you reckon
term.
there still won't be? Because
Well, they said it emphatically 3 years ago.
Yeah.
They're going to have whistleblowers reform. Now they're in jail and
Yeah.
about to go to
I
jail.
know,
and-
that is absolutely galling. And the thing is that is
really
so
bad.
easy to fix. Like housing
Yeah.
crisis, I
It's
have
harder.
some sympathy
Yeah.
for politicians because it's really, really tricky.
Mm.
But something like whistleblowers,
and
like,
transparency, which is
it's,
key to government because, and Rex, who works with us, he is big. He does FOIs. It's a fetish. He does them night and day.
He does, yeah.
And literally, and he it's got no better. The time to get transparent, the blackout, the redacted stuff, none of that stuff,
it's
and that
so
affects
dodgy,
democracy.
yeah,
I know it's
dodgy.
boring, transparency and disclosure. People go, "Oh, the ice glaze over," but the fact is, if you don't know what's going on, how do you
mate.
vote? How do you make an informed decision? So these things, the dial has not moved on those. Now the dial has moved under Labor on less corruption than the last mob. Better economic management, there is no doubt. I mean, they get bagged by the right badly for it, but they're competent economic managers, if unspectacular and not visionary, right? Chalmers, obviously a bright guy. And the fact is, they've won against, the Libs have lost for having nothing. Albo looks like he's had an emphatic win.
Yeah, it
but
looks like
it's
everyone's
more
like,
of a Dutton
Albo,
crash.
but it's really Dutton.
Dutton's
Just,
crashed.
Yeah.
this is why Dutton's such a freaking problem.
But the bright side is you've got those movements in the independent land and that corroboration that community voting works.
Yes,
And
exactly.
independents
That's
have
right.
represented, but the Teal women have done. There's only Teal women. There are no Teal men. Are there?
No, that's right.
And they've done well.
And I mean,
By and
the
large.
other thing you got to remember, Punt, is that the lesson of the teals could also come back to bite Labor in the ass, in the sense that if Albanese is, if he continues to basically sort of betray traditional Labor Party ideals, if that's what you see him as doing, then there could be a teal movement on the left.
Look at that.
Of independence, of coordinated independence.
84 seats.
Yeah.
84.
Wow.
So the Resolve poll got it right.
LNP 37.
That is
They
extraordinary.
got pantsed.
They have half. Wait, less than half the seats. The coalition has less than half the seats of Labor at the moment.
The other is
Power
to the people.
Pretty good. Other is smashing it. Yeah.
I think other is what you want.
Oh, well.
I don't know, guys.
We do have the speech lined up if we do want to have a crack at that, guys.
Here we go. P. Dutts. P. Duddy, it's your fault, bruh.
I wonder if we talk about nuclear.
Nuclear. This is a kick in the nuts for nuclear for sure, right?
I mean, I'm going to go pee during this. That says a lot.
Thank you. Got the kids on stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
They're like, Dad,
thank you very much.
My collar's on the outside.
Tonight's not the night that we wanted for the Liberal Party or for our coalition or indeed for our country. But we've worked hard every day over the course of the last 3 years to do our best for our amazing country. One of the great honours of being the leader of this party is that we have met people from every side, every corner, the length and breadth of this country. And there are many amazing stories. People who have sacrificed, people who are doing it hard at the moment. And I've always wanted in public life for the best for our country and the best for every Australian. The highlight of my career has been as the Defence Minister, and over the course of this campaign, on Anzac Day, we caught up with young veterans in Townsville at the RSL, and it reminded me of how lucky we are. And I want to acknowledge all of those men and women in uniform.
It's the biggest hospital path in
as a
history.
country.
Oh, no. Look at them all sad.
Now, we didn't do well enough during this campaign. That much is obvious.
You're going to resign
and I accept
now?
full responsibility for it.
Well, he lost his seat, so he doesn't.
Earlier,
Oh, yeah, true.
I called the Prime Minister to congratulate him on his success tonight. It's an historic occasion for the Labor Party, and we recognise that.
So is it Angus?
I congratulated the Prime Minister,
wouldn't be
and
anyone yet.
Jody and Nathan,
I don't think.
all the very best.
Or does
And
it
I said to the
happen
Prime
like
Minister
that?
that
I
his
don't know.
mum would be incredibly
I don't know what the
proud
Liberal Party
of his
leadership
achievement
succession
tonight, and he
plan
should be
is.
very proud of what he's achieved.
Find out.
Thank
Jamie,
you.
bring that up.
You would imagine that they'll have a vote. I don't think it's not going to be
I
automatic.
also had the pleasure of speaking with Ali France, and Ali and I have been combatants for a number of elections now, but she was successful in Dixon tonight, and she will do a good job as a local member. She lost her son Henry, which is a tragic circumstance that no parent should ever go through. And equally, I said to Ali that her son Henry would be incredibly proud of her tonight, and she'll do a good job as a local member for Dixon, and I wish her all the
That's
very
Labor,
best.
hey?
Yeah. They're always better when they're no longer politicians.
Yeah, they instantly stop becoming.
Yeah, they become human
dickheads.
beings.
Now, it's been a great honour to be leader of this amazing party for the last 3 years. And I want to firstly acknowledge David Littleproud, who has been a great partner in crime. He's led the National
He
Party
lost it for
with
you.
great
Don't thank
distinction.
him.
He's had the strength of character to stand up on issues which are important to us, and we've worked incredibly well together. He's done a great job, and he will do into the future. I want to say thank you very much to Susan Lee as my deputy, and also Angus Taylor as a shadow treasurer, and other senior members who have contributed to the success of the last couple of years.
Oh yeah, so it would be Susan Lee.
I
if it
also
were
want to say
automatic.
a
If he's the
very,
deputy
very
nominee.
big thank you tonight. Most
National?
importantly, to
National?
the millions of Australians who have
Oh yeah,
supported
that's right, because of the
Liberal
There's a
Party
couple of other
cancellation.
people who put up their hands.
It's not
No, they'll have
our
a
as I
vote.
point out, and there are good
It'll be
leaders,
Angus.
good candidates who have lost their seats or their ambition, and I'm sorry for that. We have an amazing party, and we'll rebuild. Can I say thank you very much to John Olsen as the president of the party? He's done a fantastic job. To Andrew Hurst and all of the secretariat for the work that they've done.
So he's done. We probably
I
don't.
want to say thank you to my staff.
We're probably good.
who are
He's
just amazing,
good.
led by Alex.
Yeah, I reckon we're
Dalgleish,
good on that. Look at that.
Jody,
Look at Angus right there. Get a picture of Angus Taylor up. That guy looks like a PM.
He's dreamy. Can we see that? Jamie,
Jamie,
find a picture. Google handsome Angus Taylor, Jamie.
No. Okay, go to the ABC article.
Jamie.
They got like, if you go, will there be a leadership change on both sides? ABC article. And what we've got here is a photo of Jim Chalmers, who is a decent looking middle-aged man.
I mean, there's no Angus Taylor.
But next to Angus Taylor, look
at that.
Look.
A magnificent. Look at the brow.
Ah,
Look at the coiffed hair.
You get an Akuba on that nog.
Oh, mate. You put him on a horse in the snowy mountains, give him a whip.
But I do take Westy's point. Jim will destroy him.
Not much going on inside.
Intellectually,
Jim is
blah blah blah. All your book learning. Where's it gotten you?
Your books.
Give me a horse. And
In the presidential system in the US, I'd agree with you, mate. Where you don't have to face off Jim Chalmers or Paul Keating on the other side of the chamber.
But who watches you watch the Question Time?
It's true.
I don't watch. Who watches Question Time?
It's true.
When you get shown up, they clip bits of it, But look, he's very presentable.
He's
for
very
sure.
presentable. Presentable is a polite word.
But I just can't see.
I can't. Any
too much.
Patrons?
I'll make a bet right here and right now that
The
Angus
water
Taylor
stuff.
will be Prime Minister of Australia.
You know what?
That he will be Prime Minister.
I think okay.
People will get bored of Albo.
Can I double your odds, or is this your same odds?
Is it a
Give me your
Stephen
scenario.
Bradbury type announcement or like
Yeah, he
falling upwards?
Bradbury'd himself. Yeah.
No, but I don't think it has to be a Bradbury. I reckon he'll be the person. He'll be a perfectly adequate opposition leader.
Yeah.
And then at some point, the coalition will win.
I'll take that bet on your side. I'll be with you.
Okay, we're on the side. We're betting with each other.
We're betting with each other that
Fabulous.
we'll just trade money, $10 each.
Yeah, excellent.
We still don't know where the $80 million from the water department went to and who got it.
Blah blah. Words.
Corruption. Never stopped Donald Trump, did it? That man.
I did.
Boring investigative journalism.
I did have to.
Look at this. Oh, wow. MichaelWest.com.au. Yeah, great.
Yeah. But look at how much more handsome he is.
Yeah.
Than Barnaby. Than that toad.
Barnaby's just
He hasn't got the personality of Barnaby.
He's the only friend you bring into the bar to increase your prospects.
Yeah, that's
is Barnaby.
He's also going to be a great night out. Like, that Barnaby's you're going to have a lot of fun at the pub with Barnaby, for sure. A lot of tall tales.
Well, he's retained.
What's the indie?
He'll be making a comeback, I'd say.
What's the indie updates on how they track in and greens and whatever?
Well, I'm trying to get the Senate one to see whether Rex Patrick's still going to be working with me.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose him in one sense, but he wants to go back into politics, but it's not looking good on the
Well, what seat was he running for, Mick?
South Australia, Senate South Australia.
Oh, that takes a week.
Where he's got, it'll take days. He needs 3,754 votes to get a seat.
What's going on with the Jackie Lambie network
That's
as well?
that's why he joined Jackie
Lambie.
Honestly, Jackie
I love a bit of Jackie.
has a bit of fire that I just
Totally.
His politicians I like. If I'm just ranking politicians I vibe with.
Yeah.
Who's the housing minister for Labor?
Claire O'Neill.
Claire O'Neill, yeah, she's got
the more I see of her,
Yeah.
I obviously don't like her housing policies because bloody do something more that will fix it. But just her just firing against
she has a crack.
Sucker.
Jackie has one thing that's so missing in politics: authenticity.
Yeah.
Now some of the stuff she does, I just but she has authenticity. Whether she's right or wrong, you get this vibe that she really means it.
You see her when she was
she's there for the people,
when that's. Who was she? She was talking to the Liberal minister, whatever, I forget all their names. But Jackie Lambie just sitting there seething in her face, where she's like, "You're lying, you're this," and she's like, "It's so over the top." But you just see how much she cares, and she's just like her heart is on her sleeve.
Totally.
So even if she's wrong, you're like, "I feel you."
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I feel like
look. Before I had my current podcast, Uncomfortable Conversations, great podcast to subscribe to, everybody.
Substack, I hear.
Great on the Substack. I had a show on the ABC, and when you interview a lot of politicians, you get into the habit of knowing the kind of formulaic ways that they respond to things.
Yeah,
because they have this very politician-y
I'm still
way
working
of
that
talking
out
about stuff. And Jackie, I remember she was on once and like just totally refreshing and started like teasing, like we were teasing each other. She was just talking shit about like she was quite heartfelt, quite open, quite honest, very fair income, like didn't dodge tough questions with stupid kind of bromides about like, you know, well, we'll have to
They have that dumb talking point that fits this set of questions.
She's not that. So yeah, I should have voted for the Jackie Lambie network.
Yeah, you didn't.
I didn't do it.
I knew Rex was running, so he was high up on my preferences, I reckon. Because I like what Rex has done with you and freedom of information. And if he can get in there, and he was showing me speeches that he'd done where using parliamentary privilege, he was calling out CEOs for not paying tax.
Oh,
He could just do it
that
without getting sued. And he could just stand up there and be like, old mate bludger whoever from whoever. Like, that's what we need more of. And so I'm like, I'd like a bit of that. But
well, yeah. How about some free speech laws in Australia that make it easier to do stuff like that as well?
Do we need laws? Do we, or do we need?
Well, the defamation
more?
laws in Australia are as bad as any in the world.
I'll reform defamation massively. It's incredibly difficult to talk about anything in this country.
It is,
and I mean, even sub judice and things like that, things you can't say before trials. It's extremely risky. Talking about
well, it just favors
people.
It favors wealthy people who can use their wealth to muzzle people through the courts.
Yeah,
or slap suits. Is that what that's called?
Slap suit. Well, I've just
strategic.
I've just had a 4-month, $40,000 one, which just was a killer. Like,
what do they call it? Strategic
slap suit, strategic litigation against.
And that's when they just take their money and hit you with a suit that may or may not stick. It doesn't matter.
Well, there is
just to rake up fees on you.
Yes, but there's also something different, which is just the structure of defamation law in Australia is such that if I say that you did this thing and then you did that thing and then you did another thing, then you can sue me. So I say you did A, you did B, you did C, and you can sue me for saying that you did X, even though I didn't say it. But if you can prove that a reasonable person would have believed that I was implying that you did X, so I can be totally factually honest. I can say, you walked down the street, you went into the house, there was a gunshot. You came out of the house and a woman was found dead. That can be defamation.
Saying I did
because you can say, well, a reasonable person would assume that he's saying I did it, but I didn't say you did it. No, all I did was report on the truth, and that is illegal in Australia.
Yeah.
Oh man, we are screwed.
Yeah.
And if they say that they've suffered damage to their reputation, then they can get quantified damage. That's a bit harder with the reforms from a couple of years ago. But the point is, I see it all the time. These laws are used. There's ambulance chasers running around all over the place, nailing people for tweets and all sorts of things. So,
and Albo's not going to change that.
He's not going to change that. I mean, there's a lot of things that he won't change, which is my point. But now we've got an 85 seats to the ALP, which is even beyond what the polls are saying. So we could almost say it's a landslide.
This is not a landslide. A mountain fell on top of Peter Dutton.
I mean, I don't remember ever seeing anything like this. I mean, what would be the closest?
This is how bad.
There's been a couple of landslides, but this is one of them.
This is going to break the end of the bar.
Yeah, it's going to go off the edge.
It's going to go off the edge.
There's not enough room on the ABC News seat counter.
No.
So, all right. It's amazing. What an amazing night.
So just for some context, here's the 2022 results as well. So
excellent.
Albo just
scraped over.
And here is tonight. All projected tonight, 41% counted, I believe.
And just can you just toggle back so I can see the LNP in 2022? What was the how many seats did they have?
So viewers can see it. Here we go.
So they've gone from 50. So really, there's no way, because if you look at the number of seats that the LNP have lost from 58 down to 39 at the moment, is the projection. It's so much more than the number of seats that Labor has gained that there's no way of interpreting this as anything other than just a massive slap in the face.
The quiet Australians have spoken.
The quiet Australians they're not quiet anymore.
And they said,
maybe we're the quiet exposure.
Dutton.
Yeah, wow.
Amazing. All right, well, I think I might call it a night.
I love that.
Usually fabulous people. There's nothing else to be said.
Yeah, we should wrap it.
I think that's pretty good, huh?
Right.
Do we have a Patreon just chilling, hanging out?
Ozzy, man, you're up, mate. You're up. Come on.
Ozzyman?
All right. Shout out to CA for your $5 contribution. Looks like ALP, NLP, and the mainstream media won the election. There will be no hung parliament or minority government this term.
Ooh.
Shout out to CA for your $5. And then for $2, caps lock, discuss. They want us to discuss. I'm a bit tired. I'm not discussing. And then did $10 with more depth. Future, take the money out of politics to a controlling body that is managed by the Oz Punters. Opinion sent to AI. I don't know about AI. I'm going to skip that. Cheers for your $10. Zadora, $14.99. No comment. I love you. I love that. $14.99. $14.99. No comment is a big statement in its own right. Tim Thurling, $7.99. Labor policy future made in Australia is pretty damn good. Green tech research manufacturing. I dig that, Tim. I dig that. Yeah, that's good shit.
I do.
Yeah. Green tech is fucking, it actually is the future. So fuck yes, Tim.
Yeah.
Fuck yes. Quigs Anton, got to give it a go. Why not? At this point in time, we're either doomed or we give it a go. So fuck yes, Tim. Quigs Anton, $5. Thoughts and prayers for Clive Palmer's chairs tonight. I love
Did he get anything? Oh, we don't know yet.
I don't know what happened with Clive, but Tim is like, fuck you. So I'm with Tim. I can Ziza. Oh, I shouted you out earlier. $10. You are way too arrogant, man. Skip that. Don't worry about it. Bass. Yeah. It's a hate comment paying to be prioritized as a right.
We'll take the money.
No, take the money. My vote is not swayed by my superannuation. Righto. We'll chat about it later, honestly. Ross Rhodes, $14.99. Dutton is giving the concession speech now. He actually is. He was. Well, the Libs are going to be in turmoil for a while. They are. I mean, ScoMo, Abbott, that 9 years was fucked. WA, we were ahead of the terms. Colin Barnett did 9 years. We were ahead of the times. Colin Barnett did 9 years. By 2017, we were like, this is fucked. You're in it for yourself and your mates. So you just took a while to catch up, the rest of you. Travis Muir, $7.99. Do we think that this was do we think that with this thumping the Nats, realizing that they will be better solo than sandbagging themselves with the deadweight Liberals? Cheers to Travis. Good comment. Ghost, fucking Australian Super is the largest leader in the world. That's our new industry. Cheers to Ghost. You got a lot. I can't remember where I was at to before. Please confirm Dutton lost Dixon. I think you confirmed JGB with your $2.99. We'll confirm that. Dutton lost Dixon. Ben Farrell. Ben Farrell, you've just dropped money all over the place. We barely has a force. FFS get us some money for all the resources you give away.
Western Australia.
That's where we were 40 minutes ago. I was like, well, what do we have? Resources. And you guys actually still haven't answered.
What do we have? Well, okay, answer that question. What I would say is,
besides kangaroos and punching down on Indigenous people, what do we have besides resources?
It's not that we have, it's what we have the opportunity to do is we take those resources. This is what Future Made in Australia does like 1% of. We take those resources, we process them, we make things from them. We complexify our development so we don't just ship raw product. We add value to that raw product and make more profit of whatever we do because we have a manufacturing advantage by having cheap energy that we could have for next to nothing. We could take that iron ore, turn it into bloody iron or whatever you make out of iron ore, and then you take that iron and you go, let's make something else out of it, and then send microchips overseas. That would be
count money.
Semiconductors. That's where it's at.
Yeah. In the end, we'll make semiconductors.
I think it's a good question because if we're thinking about kids and our kids, it's like, what do we have besides resources? We don't have shit.
Oh yeah. Well, but that's more than other countries have, and they.
Well, we've got renewable energy. We could be a renewable energy superpower. Do you know the CFC, the Clean Finance Fund? that actually is always run at a profit. And they crowdfund in a bit of money from the private sector with the public guys, and they issue bonds and do all sorts of financing things. That is run at a profit. That's where the money is. But of course, because of the media, all this stuff has been bagged to some sort of another losing government agency. What they need to do is do the Future Made in Australia thing and chuck it into the management of the Future Fund, who are professional investors, crowd in the private money to make Australia a serious renewable energy finance
Silicon Valley
giant.
of renewable
Yeah, I mean,
energy
we
of
can do
sorts.
it. We've got we can do it, and batteries and everything like that. This is where there's really the Libs, young people, more accounted for more of the vote in this election. People, Dutton kept on saying, when the wind don't blow and the sun don't shine. Mate, he was saying it the whole time. And
then how does my phone work?
Yeah, how does my phone work? There's no
We're
wind
not
blowing on
sunny
your
right
phone
now.
at the moment, mate. No, I know, batteries. So it's kind of like, guys, come on. It's a bit last century, isn't it? The wind don't blow, the sun don't shine. Batteries, China is just, okay, they're building nuclear and coal and so on as
They're
well.
building everything, but also their renewables 10x that.
Just vaulting everybody else in the world.
Have you been to one of these Chinese? I flew into Xi'an or some city with, what's the airline? Xi'an Air. Anyway, and the city, the cars driving around the city, it is eerie. It is so quiet, a full-on 3-lane each side freeway with buses, cars,
And
trucks,
no noise.
everything. No noise. It is all electric, and the air, not like
it
diesel,
used to be,
not diesel. So
I mean, I still found the air to be pretty terrible, but flying in, I remember seeing, I was so smoggy. It was just a white of
which
pure
city?
thick smog. This would have been either Beijing or Shanghai.
Yeah.
But as we broke down through the smog, all of the tops of the buildings and the houses all had solar panels on them. Not that they could get any sun because it was so, but I mean, it was promising.
Yeah. I mean, you go to these little satellite cities, because like Shanghai and Beijing, they're still very, like that way. But some of these weird little satellite cities that are in these big tech hubs, like the cars that China are making right now. Like,
they've just produced their first fleet of flying autonomous cars. I mean, that's happened.
Germany's in trouble. Like, I think that Germany's very in trouble when it comes to the car thing, because China is just making them cheaper.
Yeah.
They're fast. They're reliable.
Yeah, BMW and Audi and Mercedes are shitting themselves.
They ought to be.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to watch that play out. And Toyota in Japan, like, what are they going to do? That's going to be interesting. But anyway, we should probably wrap this up.
I've just looked up for Ozzyman what Australia actually makes, if not primary industries. It's travel services, it's things like cotton, it's things like lamb and mutton, wine is big, pharmaceutical products are big, education related services are big, travel services are big. So, that's it. And
You mentioned education. You were like, education. You were quick on that.
Well, it is. It's not something to be sniffed at. Like, there actually aren't that many countries in the world which are wealthy, highly educated, and innovative.
No, but it's all the people that want to come and study here and spend money here.
Yeah,
too. So that's
we are educated, and also we are good at
educating other people.
Yeah.
All right.
We outsource smarts. That's fine.
Yeah. And that's the best thing to outsource. It's better than selling, labor.
We want, and as long as we have good weather and this is the thing, like my whole point with this whole conversation and the whole reason why I want to tax our resources is because what the bloody hell do we do in the future? What are we building towards? What are we investing in? How do we compete on this is why when people argue with me, like in the SBS debate about free education, I don't want to pay for him to be a doctor. Cool, man. Do you want doctors? Do you want engineers? Do you want to compete with Germany that is educating their population for free all across Europe? All these European countries have worked out we need to compete on brain power. We do have a competitive advantage. So we have land, space, cheap energy, renewables could be the thing, but we need brains. This is why nuclear was a bit of a dud, is because we don't have anyone who's got nuclear skills. Like, we'd have to import all those things as well. And so if we're not doing that now, like if we won't start now, like, I genuinely think the future of the Australian economy, is it just guaranteed that we remain a first world country? Is it guaranteed that we can always compete? Like, I don't know. Like, what happens when we stop digging and no one can live in houses because we've jacked them up too much?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not guaranteed that we'll remain a first world country, but it is pretty certain that we'll remain a first world country if we remain sort of nimble and agile.
You think?
Yeah. I don't think,
are we agile enough as far as you see it now?
well, no, because we're so. Yeah, I mean, I think we'll manage it, but we have to fight against that complacency and small c conservatism that you were talking about, and be a little bit more audacious. But I don't think the solution, whilst I think it's insane that we're not taxing our resources more and having more control over them, I don't think that the solution in the long term is just to create a sovereign wealth fund that we can then live off in perpetuity. Like we also do have
but that money could then
be intellectual.
You have to invest in your population.
Exactly. Not just invest, but also
not just passive.
There are lots of countries that have nothing. I mean, there's Singapore and like Luxembourg. Lots of countries have nothing and are wealthy on the basis
but they've
of
got
their
good
smarts.
policies. I mean, look at capital gains tax relief, which is part of the reason with negative gearing. You see at the turn of the century, it turbocharged the housing affordability crisis. There are people in the leafy suburbs making $20 million turns on flogging mansions with the Chinese coming, the influx of money. They don't pay any tax on that 20 million. Now, why, if you're making that sort of dough, and some people have made 50 million on their houses, but let's just say people are making millions every week, and you see it. In the Herald never talks about it, and their glossy things. Imagine if all that money had to be reinvested in companies, in business, in technology, rather than just sold to some Chinese guy who's not even going to put renters in there. He's just going to park
sit on it.
And that is really lazy. It's lazy
Bad
policy
capital.
from an economic point of view.
Totally.
They did ban both parties said we're going to ban foreign investment in existing residential property for 2 years, which is lame, but it's better than nothing. In fact,
This is all we
that's
can
one where
expect.
Labor followed the Libs.
Yeah.
Better
The Libs-
than nothing. Is
Well, I
all
mean,
we
that
can
was the
hope
Libs'
for.
best policy in my view,
Yeah.
and because it's such a big thing, why would you allow young Australians to compete at auction against foreigners?
Well, because Labor is obsessed with social justice.
Well, it's good for the
stuff,
price of their
and they're-
investment properties.
No, but there's also no. They think it smells of racism. I think that.
Do you think?
That, yes, that was always the antipathy. I think to doing something. There's a sense on the left that it's jingoistic xenophobia to blame foreign Chinese buyers for a problem that is multifaceted and very complicated, and so they don't want to seem like they're banging on about, it's all the foreigners, it's all the terrible Asians who are causing the
maybe
housing
a bit,
crisis.
but
To be fair, it's obviously not the biggest number. Like, obviously, once again, like the thing that doesn't get spoken about with the housing investment thing, it's always like, if we don't incentivize people to buy up all these houses, who's going to buy the houses? Well, they'll be there. But the other point that you make is how bad our economic settings are that incentivizes, and this is what I was saying to somebody else who I'm like, why do you get to pay half the tax rate of me and I take a paycheck because you had the capital to put into that dumb building? And why are you, as a business person, incentivized to buy that property instead of, if that property is off the market, you'd be looking at the ASX, you'd be looking at stocks, you'd be looking at basket of goods, and you'd be looking at the best investment of all. The best ROI is often to invest in your own business. That will employ more people. Like the economic velocity of money. Now I'm probably getting a bit above my pay grade, but the velocity of money when you have the right incentives, pushing money into the right areas. That's what simulates an economy. And with the housing debate, no one's talking about the half of it where it is with mining that takes all the labor and drives up wage costs. But that is the houses are killing our economy with just locking up capital.
Well, not only that, the big four banks, which are underpinned by us, they can't go broke. They've got a bailout fund effectively. 80% of their business. There's all these high-risk ASX things that have set up private credit markets, right? Because the banks won't lend except to residential property because they're such beautiful, safe, underpinned by government, fat margins. They're never going to let it go.
Free market.
But they have to wind it back somehow because it's just making Australia a very unequal society. And literally,
and not
before your
entrepreneurial.
guys' time, Australia was a pretty fair country like 30 years ago, 40 years ago. It's not fair anymore. It's all about building gigantic tax shelters through the super system that you pass on to your spoiled kids. These kind of, the super, wait till everybody gets their head around how disadvantaged younger Australians are in super, the way that's all structured. People, they're onto housing now, thanks to you guys. Younger people, they're onto the housing thing. They know what negative gearing is. They know that there are these tax incentives. The superannuation is the thing that needs the breakthrough because that's where there's huge inequity, where all wealthier people with, they get all these different kinds of tax benefits and they can pass them on to their kids. Superannuation was designed to fund people's retirements, not to pass on in inheritances.
Mm.
And that's what's effectively happening now. But anyway, we're bloody
Well, then, so I think that's a good
Now we're solving the world's problems, ladies and
going on
gentlemen.
a bit here.
No,
All right.
let's do another 4 hours.
Well,
guys,
I think that people should go back and listen to Punter's appearance on Uncomfortable Conversations, which
did cover this.
previewed quite a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about
Yeah.
tonight. But you did a very good job of articulating it.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks for the invitation.
Yep.
Great
Give us a
to,
plug, Josh. Uncomfortable Conversations Substack is where punts get your
or you can just look up the podcast on a podcast. app.
podcast. Yep.
You'll end up making your way back to Substack.
That's the
eventually.
plug. You don't have a Patreon or anything.
No.
No, it's like OnlyFans, but no nudes. So you should.
Oh, yeah. Who says no nudes?
Well, true. Westy, all the plugs for you, Michael West, journalist. You have a Patreon and a YouTube channel, which you probably could be watching this on. Yeah, they're the plugs.
Michael West Media.
Michael West Media.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
the
and my
website up
YouTube
there.
channel as well. You can see all the videos of my podcast on the YouTube channel.
There you go. And then punterspolitics.com. You can check out merch, Patreon, all the socials. Massive thanks.
Thanks to the
to
boys.
Josh and Jesse sitting, driving, setting up. Aussie man, give us some plugs on what you've been rolling with and doing. And
Just doing funny videos, and in between that, being serious and making sure Indigenous people don't get punched down on in the last week of an election. So that's all I've been doing.
Good stuff.
excellent. And you do a bloody good job of it, I say.
And just to
Cheers.
put some analytics in there, guys. So on our end, I think we achieved around 20 to 35,000 views.
Whoa.
I won't know until we finish across the two platforms.
Oh,
That doesn't include Instagram as well, so there might be a couple more thousand.
Whoa.
So look, 20 to 30,000 views for an independent podcast that was thrown together 2 days ago. I think
Yeah.
that's quite a good achievement.
That's what Aussie man gets in the first 10 minutes on YouTube.
yeah.
He's like, this is chicken feed. This is nothing.
Amazing.
He's just in New Zealand.
Aussie man, are you going to start your streaming career again?
Sorry?
Are you going to start your streaming career again after this?
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, 2018 was the last time I did live streams, but yeah, you never know.
Well,
Get
thank you
him
for being a
back.
fantastic host/guest and reading out our supers tonight as well, and providing fantastic commentary as well. I think there's a good time to sign off.
Good on you, Aussie man. See you,
Punters,
mate.
everyone else, thanks
Josh.
for tuning in. Been bloody brilliant to have you. Who knows? Maybe we'll do it again someday. Cheers, punts. Power to the punters.
Cheers, mate.